Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. Matthew Alvarez. It is 2 o'clock on the East Coast. Thanks so much for joining us on this Friday. Happy Friday to you. Friday, September 5th. Looking forward to all of the coverage today. Thanks again for streaming in with us, as we know that in just a couple hours from now, we're going to see the President of the United States from the Oval Office signing executive orders. Then on top of that, making an announcement. So we'll have that for you. We have a lot of news to get to over the next couple of hours. And also, if there's any breaking news or developing news, we'll be right here for you. Looking forward to seeing the president coming up in just a bit. But also what we're learning is, according to the Washington Times, this will be the president's 200th executive order since taking office some 228 days ago. So again, this is the 200th executive order since the president took office now more than 7 months ago. So this is what we can do. We have a number of videos to get to, all within a 24/7 news cycle, a lot of interviews as well, a lot of fun to be had too. It's Friday, so why not, right? Let's start out with this. We know that our RSBN host, Robert McNeely, recently interviewed the Daily Caller's Ashley Brassfield, as we have much more ahead right here on RSBN Live. So let's take a look at clip 14 right here live at 2:01 Friday, September 5th.
And welcome back to RSBN's Live Desk, live from Studio B. I think it's your first time here. Ashley Brassfield with the Daily Caller, covering all things Capitol Hill and giving us the latest Washington, D.C. beat. Ashley, what are you working on?
Right. Well, I've had a lot of exclusives this week, one with Social Security and most recently with the IRS. A individual high-ranking officer, Nikki Wilkinson, actually put out a post on a guy's LinkedIn that actually was the former staffer for Marsha Blackburn, criticizing the president for the firings that have occurred at that agency and the bureaucracy that's occurred. And she blatantly has criticized him. So I reached out for her for comment regarding those postings, and she went on quite a rampage. It was already a rampage on the posting, and she gave me even more to work with for my comment. We are actually reaching out to the IRS and Treasury at the moment, waiting to see what her current employment status is currently due to those postings and with the story that came out yesterday morning. So to be updated on that, but keep an eye out on that.
And you were in the RFK Jr. hearing, our great Secretary of Health and Human Services, with the United States Senate Finance Committee. It seems as if that was pre-planned by certain Republicans and Democrats just to gang up on him. I don't know. This deep state seems to be alive and well with those who are whispering things in the halls of Congress behind the scenes. And then, again, usurping the authority of the office of the executive president of the United States.
Right. Well, I called that hearing yesterday spicy. It's a little bit more spicy than the ones I've been to recently, specifically the interactions with Senator Warren as well as Bernie Sanders, and even those on the Republican side, Senator Cassidy, going after RFK, criticizing him for comments that he's made about Operation Warp Speed. But the secretary made it very clear that the president deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for that effort. It was actually the mandates during the Biden administration that he litigated on specifically. But some very interesting moments. Was quite the time to be in the room. There's a few giggles coming out of the media table in the back. I know nobody could hear, but some rather spicy moments, to say the least. But I would say, if you have, establishment Republicans and Democrats coming after you, I think it's safe to say you're doing the right thing in a lot of ways with the secretary, and President Trump obviously picked him for a reason to shake things up.
We know Pocahontas has taken $855,000 from Big Pharma. That Senator Bernie Sanders, crazy Bernie Sanders from Vermont, also taking a lot, along with many of the members of that committee. So it was something that I was just perplexed watching. And that's the whole process. As you cover Capitol Hill, Ashley, are we really getting to anything that's good out of these hearings? Is there any conclusion? Let's play devil's advocate, and Bobby Kennedy was the worst Secretary of Health and Human Services that ever served. Does it really help if United States senators, with their limited time of roughly 3 to 5 minutes, just bamboozle and harass the witness? And many of them are attorneys. I don't think a court of law or a judge with any dignity will allow something to take place like that.
Well, you saw Secretary Kennedy, excuse me, call out one of the senators saying, are you trying to make a campaign ad, or something for your campaign ad right now, rather than letting me talk and answer the question, stating multiple times, I would love to answer that. But, they kind of bullied him into it. Obviously, the secretary has quite an issue with his voice due to a prior diagnosis and everything. So it almost seemed like bullying at times, in my opinion, over speaking, but he stood his ground in a lot of ways. And of course, obviously took it well, in my opinion. But like you said, I think the American people would like to see the secretary answer questions and be able to see what is factual and what's not coming from him, rather than seeing these senators, go on these long tangents, rants, speeches for their own benefit, and rather than letting the secretary at a testimony answer the question, what he's specifically there to do, and see behind that curtain, which they aren't able to do when that happens. So when it comes to hearings on Capitol Hill specifically, I would say that this is not unusual. I went to the AutoPen investigation with the Joe Biden's Senate Judiciary hearing, and this was a kind of a typical thing as well. These tangents that even from Republicans or Democrats, whether you agree or not agree on this, but it is these long spelled out speeches about the scenario and a lot of questions being answered from, witnesses that come to testify before these committees.
Now, the Epstein files, we know that over 30,000 being released, and it brings together alliances that are somewhat unique in the United States House of Representatives. Marjorie Taylor Greene with Ro Khanna from California, and Thomas Massie, the great Commonwealth of Kentucky. So the three of them holding a press conference, and then you saw all of the protesters really around them. And I somewhat sympathize with what's taking place here, because you have true victims, and we know the stories and the horrors that they went through, including families completely changed by the actions of the late Jeffrey Epstein and that of his former girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is in maximum security prison right now. But there is this level of having to protect the victims as we move forward. Are there any more developments in Washington, D.C., any buzz surrounding which is becoming something that seems to be very bipartisan?
Right. Well, this was a discharge resolution put forward by Congressman Massie and Ro Khanna. And obviously, we saw the press conference take place the other day. I actually was able to ask two questions. One to Brad Edwards, the attorney for these Epstein victims, very well known, actually won the case against JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank for these victims. And of course, some of these victims are alleged. I just like to put that out there. But we got to hear their stories, a lot of them. One specifically that said she flew on a plane with Bill Clinton to Africa with Jeffrey Epstein, that plane known as the Lolita Express by many, that they flew on and is well known. And those flight logs that's been put out, still so much limited information when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein that we do not know. Many of these documents that were put out by Oversight Committee from the DOJ already had like 90% of it that was out there already. So, disseminating through that information, seeing what was new and what wasn't new. And I need to clarify with the Oversight Committee myself, there was supposed to be multiple documents exchanges between the DOJ and the Oversight Committee. We didn't really get clear if this was all the documents. There was a time period that passed during that time. But as far as the presence on Capitol Hill, lots of protesters the last few days, even leading up to that press conference in regards to releasing the files of Jeffrey Epstein. We saw that at the press conference. I saw it the day before at the Republican Study Committee press conference on DC crime. Signs about Epstein everywhere. So that press conference, very interesting. And like I said, I was able to ask Brad Edwards that question, but as well as the victim, of what she thought of the interview with Todd Blanche with Ghislaine Maxwell. And she stated that, it's hard to be in front of a system that lifts up Ghislaine Maxwell's voice before the victims' voices. And I think she had a great point there. But the DOJ did not speak to these victims, which of course are alleged, and that she would, urging the Trump administration to do the right thing here, be different than other administrations with releasing this administration, and still connections with these intelligence ties with Jeffrey Epstein, and lots of questions still unanswered.
That's something I try to put that reporter hat on, as you do, Ashley, and really dive into. I guess anything could be possible in this. Could this man have been an informant? I guess with everything we know from the intelligence agencies and the way the curtain has been pulled back, let's look at all the above and stay on it. And that makes me also wonder.
Also,
oh, yeah, go ahead.
I did want to say, too, one important part of this press conference, they said the victims would be compiling a list. We've been told that this list doesn't exist, but these victims state they know the names, and they are compiling a list all together. of these names. Of course, there's fear of, being sued over these things. But I thought that was a very interesting part of the press conference, and it'll be interesting to see what occurs, who's involved with that. It seems to me that Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie will have some part in that. So hopefully some development there, along with that discharge resolution with the documents that are occurring.
And this is my question as well. With someone like a Ghislaine Maxwell clearly trying to preserve her own life, her own freedom in this process, all of the tech officials coming to dinner with President Trump, those who once their organizations kept kicking him off of Facebook, kicking him off of Twitter, now stating they're investing at least $600 billion, according to Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, otherwise known as Zuckerbucks, his nickname, was at the dinner last night in Thursday evening at the White House that also included people like Bill Gates, which just personally makes me kind of cringe knowing what we know with Bill Gates' involvement in population control to vaccine procurement, his work with allegedly Dr. Anthony Fauci. So I'm very curious as to why all of a sudden they tried to stop President Trump for years, and now ever since the inauguration, it seems like they want a seat at the table.
Yeah, absolutely. It was quite the scene to see yesterday. A few reporters were let in the room to ask a few questions, but some interesting faces, like you said, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates. If anyone watches the All In podcast, Chamath was there, as well as David Sachs, the crypto czar. So just a lot of faces, but I think it's, sitting across the table and next to your enemies at times can be beneficial, is what I saw in that picture. Of course, these are tech leaders that really, is the fastest growing industry in the world and sector in itself. So being able to communicate with them rather than block them out, a lot was talked about with AI specifically from the Google co-founder stating that, we appreciate you talking to us rather than blocking us out. But I think that's Trump's style. So just not, blocking out these tech and head business leaders. There is so much intersection when it comes to government and business itself. So I think it was great to see, but a little startling, I think, for the MAGA support and the MAGA base itself, seeing people that just plainly went against the president and undermined him and the Constitution of the United States with free speech and on many of these platforms. But it's good to see, some talking across the aisle in a lot of ways with this. Of course, they have businesses to run, so that's what their interests are in. But obviously, quite the sight to see.
And we are always on the right side of history, but deep believers here at RSBN in being innocent until proven guilty, because quite frankly, we have the best system. It's a system that really dates back to those founding documents of Magna Carta in the 13th century. And now years and years later, 250 years in the making for this country, I always think back to John Adams when he actually represented the British soldiers in the Boston Massacre. And Sam Adams wasn't too thrilled. His first cousin, especially in the city of Boston, the whisper campaign was happening. The rumors that is John secretly behind the British? No, he believed in British common law and representing the truth and those who have rights in the letter of the law. So it's something that sets us apart from really the whole of human history. Ashley Brassfield, she's dashing, she's daring, she paints the town red, and she's covering that city beat for us at the Daily Caller, doing a magnificent job. Thanks for coming on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great to see Ashley Brassfield in D.C. with the Daily Caller. Great interview there with Robert McNeely as it is 2:13 Eastern Time. Thanks so much for streaming in as this is Friday, September 5th. At 4 o'clock, the president will sign executive orders and make an announcement from the Oval Office. Originally, it was a 2 o'clock executive order signing and a 4 o'clock announcement. Well, those two events are now within that 4 o'clock hour. We're going to be interviewing a number of people coming up here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We have a number of great videos within that 24/7 news cycle to show you. And thank you for choosing conservative media instead of that mainstream media, lamestream stuff that doesn't really care about we the people at all. And you're going to see a video a bit later that is all about we the people. Looking forward to playing that for you. We have a few fun videos as well. There might be one about Gavin Newsom that we played yesterday where President Trump posted it on Wednesday night, that video. We're going to show it to you again because it's just a wild, wild video, and it's pretty funny to see. But also, we're looking forward to seeing the executive order signing and also the announcement from President Donald J. Trump. Looking forward to that. We'll have that live here for you on the network. In the meantime, a few sponsors to get to before we go to a new video from the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, and also NASA. We'll have that in just a second. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy. Unfortunately, flu season is here, and the best time to prepare is in case or before you get sick. So that's why families across the country are turning to All Family Pharmacy, where you can stock up now, get everything your family needs to have on hand, from those essential medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, antivirals, to those emergency kits out there, and the daily medications for maintenance. They have it all. And now you can even get that cutting-edge biohacking products, things like NAD+, methylene blue, GLP-1, weight loss medications, all in one place. I'm telling you, they've built a full lineup to help you prepare for anything. So no more scrambling when someone gets sick. It's simple, fast, and reliable. A licensed doctor reviews every order and writes the prescription for you. So if you're looking to stay protected and prepared, this is the pharmacy for you. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that promo code RSBN10 to get 10% off your order. Stock up today and have peace of mind tomorrow. Let's shift over to Monetary Gold as well. Another great sponsor here at Right Side. The BRICS Alliance, unfortunately, is growing, and their goal is pretty simple: to destroy the dollar's power. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now more nations are lining up to join. They're building a new digital currency, a currency they'll use instead of the dollar. That means rogue nations can trade without fear of U.S. sanctions. And when the world stops using dollars, unfortunately, our savings lose value. So all you have to do is give them a call, 888-617-7994, or go to rsbnforthegold.com. You can protect what you've worked for before the BRICS succeed in crashing the dollar. Hopefully that obviously doesn't happen, but rsbnforthegold.com is the place to go. Kalshi.com as well, kalshi.com/RSBN. If you're looking to bet, trade, or check out polls on various sites out there, various topics like science and technology, sports, faith, politics, weather, music, pop culture, there's a lot of people, more than 1 million people using this site. You can go to that QR code if you'd like, or just download the app or go to kalshi.com/RSBN. 3 great sponsors right there for you on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Without those great sponsors, we would not be able to provide you any of this live coverage. And those of you that donate to the network, which we'll talk about a little bit later, thank you guys for what you do, because it's all pouring into conservative media, common sense. We don't have to, discuss rocket science here. It's all about God, family, and country. It always has been that way for we the people. As we are, 249 years young in this country. Wait till 2026, the 250th anniversary for our nation. So a lot to look forward to, a lot of winning going on. Again, if you're just joining us, President Trump, according to the Washington Times, they counted 200th executive order will be signed today, as the president has been in office for this second time around as the 47th commander-in-chief for 228 days. So the 200th executive order will be signed, and also his announcement live from the Oval Office. Glad you're with us again on this Friday, September 5th, as it's 2:18 Eastern time. Let's go through a few videos, shall we? And we'll get to some interviews as well. Let's start out with Alligator Alcatraz. It's back open for business, and now there's a new facility opening to remove criminal illegal aliens, the Louisiana lockup. Take a look. So similar to Alligator Alcatraz, and there's one in Indiana, one in Nebraska. I mean, these facilities are popping up all over the place because we have how many millions of criminal illegal aliens in our country, and then those that have a rap sheet a mile long, So basically, this isn't to just house illegal aliens and keep them there for a long time. This is more for deportation operations. So they'll be processed and then sent on the planes back to their home countries. That's something, again, I've said this before, but if we all took a trip to some other country, we'd have to have our papers. We'd have to have a passport or a visa or some sort of identification to just travel to some other nation. That's all that's happening here is we're seeing that we had that influx, those caravans. Remember all of that? Well, we had all those people just showing up to our country. Biden's, border, there was no border. It was wide open. So there you go. Case in point, you have a place like that, the Louisiana lockup. What will they come up with next is the question. We'll see. All right, let's move on now to the U.S. Coast Guard. So the U.S. Coast Guard Spencer intercepted an overloaded vessel carrying 191 Haitians 40 miles off Haiti's coast. All aboard the vessel were sent back to Haiti with swift, lethal precision, ensuring maritime security and border integrity. So take a look at this video from the Coast Guard. Will the mainstream media ever play a video like that? Would you ever see a video like that under the Biden administration? No, because they're happy to have all these people from all across the world just show up on our doorstep, many with these criminal records, including bringing in the narcotics. We saw how that ended up. Holy smokes, man. Now, these are not just drug cartel anymore. This is now a terrorist organization, according to President Trump. So they have that new title. Drug cartel is a terrorist organization, narco terrorists. We saw what happened to them in the international waters just the other day. We'll get to some more from the DOD regarding that in just a minute. Speaking of the DOD, it's going to be the DOW. We'll talk about that, of course, a little bit later as well. But let's go back to the DOD. They're always ready. This is the DC version. And all I have to say about this video is go National Guard.
Doing our normal patrol, and then we noticed a guy unresponsive in front of the CVS. We got a little bit closer just to check up on him, and he's unresponsive, so we went and found local law enforcement.
From there, we sat there and assisted him until he called further EMS support.
Of course, you see a body, you want to see if he's breathing. That's the first thing you check to make sure he's okay there. And then after determining that he was breathing, somewhat conscious, after that, we provided a little bit of aid, like setting him up, make sure his airways was clear, and that was the main cause there.
So the firefighters came originally, checked him out, there are the pulses, and then the EMS slid him away in there.
So whenever there's an issue out there, whether it's to serve and protect, that's the National Guard helping with local law enforcement. It's just common sense to have extra people, especially when we have extra crime. How about let's just not even settle for if there's one murder or one carjacking. These are numbers that we would like to have at zero. So the thing that's great is at least President Trump and the team and the National Guard throughout all of the states are ready to go. You know, the Illinois National Guard, I'm sure they're ready to go to Chicago tomorrow or right now if need be. Well, if need be, yeah, they definitely are needed right now. But the point is, what will Brandon Johnson, the mayor, say? What will Pritzker say? We've heard it. They've already said a bunch of crap that's not on the right side of history. It's stuff that's anti-common sense, anti-our country. So looking forward to seeing the next moves from the National Guard when it comes to Illinois and other states across our union. I mean, again, it's all about common sense versus that false narrative that we've seen out there. So just a quick shout out to all of you guys watching right this second at 2:24 Friday, September 5th. You know, I know we missed the rallies, right? The rallies are so fun to cover, but we also are very happy to see that President Trump is actually in the office and now taking care of business We want to see those that have broken the law held accountable. We want to see the 20 core promises to the American people. We want to see them fulfilled. We want to see our country saved and restored this 3.5 years that we have left with President Trump in office, and then 2028 and beyond. We want to have our restoration happen. We want to have the reforms cemented in. So other than that, it's Friday, September 5th. Again, let's go now to the Secretary of Defense, which, again, may soon be the Secretary of War. We have to wait for an announcement to confirm any of that, possibly today, of course, with the President of the United States. Pete Hegseth recently told the story of the Harlem Hellfighters of World War I, saying, quote, "The enemy grew so frightened of these American warfighters that their high command offered a reward of 400 marks to any German who captured just one of them alive. They never succeeded," according to Hegseth. "We ought to always thank Almighty God for such men. May we honor them forever, especially because they were not honored in their time." Here's a clip from the Secretary's speech. That is clip number 9.
They were more than 150 miles off the coast of New York, bound for the North Atlantic and on to France, when they knew they had to return to shore. A piston rod in the ship had broken. The repair could not be completed at sea, and so back to the pier they went. It was November 1917. When they set sail for France a second time, a fire broke out in the ship's bunker. The damage could not be repaired at sea. Back to the harbor they went. On December 13th, they launched a third time. One soldier, Lieutenant Louis Shaw, wrote to his mother, "This letter will be delivered when the War Department hears of our safe arrival. Keep busy and well, for we have lots of good times coming." And so they sailed on. Through cold rain, they were soldiers, volunteers, and they were incredible Americans. As the rain turned to snow, an English tanker drifted into them by accident. It tore metal plates off the side of the soldiers' ship. Determined to get to France and take their place in the Great War, the soldiers refused to turn back. Instead, in 10-degree weather, they used slings to lower themselves down on the side of the ship to make repairs. And they kept going. Vigilant about enemy submarines, the soldiers slept in their uniforms. They wore life vests, and they ate supper at 3:30 p.m. because they couldn't burn lights after sundown. Not even cigarettes were allowed. Just before Christmas Eve, the men gathered for a makeshift church service. As they sang hymns, the verses from Onward, Christian Soldiers echoed through the ship. Hell's foundations quiver at the shout of praise. Brothers, lift your voices, loud your anthems raise. On Christmas, 7 Allied destroyers met the ship to escort the soldiers to France. They arrived on New Year's Day, 1918. As is noted, fighting under French command, they wore the horizon blue helmets of the French army. But these men were exceptional Americans. They sewed badges on their olive-colored uniforms. On each one was the image of the rattlesnake, the 369th Infantry Regiment. During the American Revolution, it was Benjamin Franklin who said that the rattlesnake captured the temper and conduct of this new republic. She never wounds till she has generously given notice, even to her enemy, and cautioned him against the damage of treading on her, he said. And so the soldiers were named the Rattlers. Through valleys and over ridges filled with gas and smoke, they forged ahead. They faced the enemy head on. They faced him at point-blank range. They faced him amid bullets and shells raining down. They were exceptional Americans, so they pushed on. I thought their shells had messed us up a good deal, Sergeant Robert Collins said about one of the enemy's attempts. But man, you should have seen what we'd done to them. When our machine guns got through with them, they looked like a bunch of Swiss cheese. Of such men, Captain William Hayward observed, the first thing I knew was there was nothing between the German army and Paris except my regiment. But that was fair enough, because there was nothing between us and Berlin except the German army. One German admitted, "We can't hold up against these men. They smile when they kill, and they will not be taken alive." The enemy grew so frustrated and frightened of these American warfighters that their high command offered a reward of 400 marks to any German who captured one of them alive. They never succeeded. Not one. And if you understand World War I, you understand how incredible that is. One night when it looked as if the enemy had cornered a few of those American soldiers, they could do nothing but surrender, they thought, and become prisoners of war. Sergeant William Butler of Maryland charged out of his trench. He shouted and fired his rifle as he rushed the enemy. He killed 4 of their men. The Americans escaped. Warriors all. "Soldier routs 20 Germans" was the headline in the New York papers. "I guess I just ran amok," Butler said. In 1919, more than 250,000 Americans turned out to cheer the soldiers' homecoming in the streets of New York. They had served nearly 200 days in continuous combat. Think about that. 6 months in some of the most ferocious fighting you can imagine, did not give an inch. Along those city streets, in the shop windows, on the banners, and on the lapel buttons of the citizens who paid their respects, there was an image: the rattlesnake, the symbol of the men we honor today as the Harlem Hellfighters, the symbol of these soldiers who were the bravest of Americans. We ought always thank Almighty God for such men. And may we honor them forever, especially because they were not honored in their time. God bless.
A great speech there by the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, talking about the Hellfighters. I mean, that was quite the speech there. And all of you out there that are military veterans, thank you so much for your service. And those of you that are in our military, thank you again for what you do out there, especially, now even in our country when it comes to the southern border. You think about the Marines, the Army, the Coast Guard, the Navy. I mean, they're working along the Customs Border Protection agents along our borders and on our soil right now. So, guys, thank you so much for what you do. We'll get to some more details with a lot more stories coming up in just a minute. Let's go to a couple of sponsors here on Right Side as we await the president there at the White House. Let's go to angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas, of course. If you're looking to have a great product for a gift, this is one right here, angelpaste.com. Use that RSBN promo code. You have the Miracle Cream as one of the choices and a number of other products as well. They hire military veterans. Great longtime sponsor right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Another great sponsor, Cove Pure. This one I like a lot too, because I don't know about you, but I don't like drinking tap water. You know what I mean? So this is Cove Pure right here. You've heard us talk about Cove Pure before, and for good reason. It's because we believe that clean drinking water is one of the best investments you can make for your family's health. Here's something you might not realize. This part I think you might know, but the second part probably not. So when people take medications, their bodies don't absorb all of it. So much of that stuff gets flushed down the toilet, and water treatment plants are horrible at filtering out those leftover pharmaceuticals, things like antibiotics, antidepressants, and even hormone disruptors from birth control pills. So no wonder our society is dealing with this situation with water. So luckily, Cove Pure is lab certified to remove up to 99.9% of impurities. That includes fluoride, PFAs, agricultural runoff, and of course, pharmaceutical drugs. So the first thing you're going to notice with Cove Pure is the taste. It's supposed to taste so much better, and it does. I hear I have to try Cove Pure soon. But I do know that, a lot of these water filtration systems do a great job. Cove Pure makes it so easy. It sits on your countertop, no plumbers, no drilling. You fill it up and plug it in. You can even select whatever temperature you want, hot, cold, or warm, with a tap of a button. You see the video right there on the side of your screen. And you wouldn't take a stranger's drug prescription, so I accept their leftovers in your water. That sounds awful. protect yourself with the link below there, covepure.com/RSBN. And right now, for a limited time, you'll get a special discount of $200 off of Cove Pure. Again, covepure.com/RSBN. Great sponsor, great product here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's now go to Tax Network USA. If you missed any back taxes or you want some peace of mind when it comes to that, there's a great patriotic group of people out there. Tax Network USA, 800-357-1415 is the number, tnusa.com/RSBN. All right, so it's 2:34 Eastern time. Let's move on to an interesting story. I didn't get a chance to watch this clip that we're about to show you, but it's a clip from the White House, so I know it's going to be good. From paper routes to lifeguarding, now to leading the nation. This Labor Day, cabinet secretaries shared their first job stories. Take a look.
My first job, my parents insisted that I get a job. I wanted to be a cheerleader in high school, and I couldn't afford the uniform. So my first job was packing peaches at Warm Adams Packing in Hanford, California, where I was working 12-hour days for the first time, and it was exciting. I raised the money that I needed to buy that uniform. I lost 15 pounds, and I knew all about peaches, and I still love them today.
No, when I look back on my first job, I think about all the things I thought was so important. But I got up every morning, I went to a local grocery store called Big Star, and I got to clean the floors, and I stayed there for 5 years. Actually, my first job turned into a 5-year experience all the way from high school to college.
My first job was not unique. It was delivering newspapers in downtown Honolulu.
Well, I started at my local community library. It was not the most exciting job, paying pretty much minimum wage. I was able to get a massive promotion over to retail as a cashier. And I remember the big day where I was given the promotion to dress shirt supervisor that came with a 50-cent per hour raise.
My first job was as a lifeguard at the indoor pool that my mom worked at.
My first job was working in the Washington Zoo. I was working in the reptile house, and I was feeding the reptiles, cleaning the cages, cleaning the glass with a squeegee, and cleaning the guardrails with brass polisher.
And my parents instilled in all of us a very strong work ethic from a young age.
I learned that the little things count, that whatever you do, you should apply all of your talents and all of your energy to trying to do it well.
You know, with the president's leadership, he's offering every American who wants to work the opportunity to work and really strive and earn the American dream.
So we can have a little bit of fun in the comment section. Go ahead and type your first job in there, whether you're watching on Rumble, YouTube, X, wherever you're watching right now. My first job was working at Hat World at the mall. You know that lids store for hats and all that? Well, there you go. Like sports and I like hats. There you go. All right, let's bring on Ricardo Martins right now of Brazil. Sir, thank you so much for joining us again here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Not sure if we hear Ricardo.
Matt, I'm hearing somebody else on the line.
Okay. Do you hear me now? Guess not. Kind of sounds like a Verizon commercial, but that's all right.
I hear another person.
Okay. What we'll do is we're going to come back to you, Ricardo, once we get the audio lined up for you. So let's do that. Guys, if we can go back to programming on the monitor, and then we'll continue on. Ricardo, we'll try and work that bug out in just a second. We'll have you on in just a minute. All right, meantime, let's go to clip 11. So yesterday, the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, of course, had this AI event. So let's go to clip 11.
Leaders and parents, we must manage AI's growth responsibly. During this primitive stage, it is our duty to treat AI as we would our own children, empowering but with watchful guidance. Today, in this room, is filled with the brightest minds of our time. As such, I challenge you to focus on 3 strategic priorities of AI's ecosystem so America can lead in shaping a new, magnificent world. Infrastructure and energy, national security, and of course, talent. We must ensure America's talent, our workforce, is prepared to sustain AI's progress. And the Presidential AI Challenge is our first major step to galvanize America's parents, educators, and students with this mission. English is a new coding language for many, and with it, creativity will flow from every corner of America, sparking new industries, careers, and jobs. By supporting the Presidential AI Challenge, you are investing in our youth, America's next era builders.
Yet another great live event that you saw right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network yesterday. Now, as we continue on, let's see if Ricardo Martins is standing by with us live. It would be great to speak with him. We have a number of live interviews coming up and also a number of great videos, including from Punta Gorda. You know, if you've been watching our broadcast throughout the week, we've been talking about this pro-Trump coffee shop down there in Florida. We were there over Labor Day, my family and I was visiting some friends, and I heard that there was this pro-Trump coffee shop that played RSBN all the time, and it was all of this Trump gear and all of that. We're going to go to that video coming up in just a minute. And a shout out for Truth Social, a shout out to Devin Nunez for reposting and retruthing that video that you could check out on Truth Social at Matthew Alvarez if you'd like. But we're going to play it here on the air in just a minute. But let's go to Ricardo Martins now. I think you hear me now, right, sir?
Yes, Matt.
Awesome. Great
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. And for those of you watching right now, you know, Ricardo Martins, I met him at CPAC in Washington, D.C. My wife and I were in CPAC or at CPAC, and Ricardo was with Jair Bolsonaro and the whole crew from Brazil. So this guy is somebody that has his finger on the pulse of what's going on in that country. And you know, Ricardo, I was just looking the other day, the population in Brazil, 213 million people. And you were telling me that tomorrow is a huge day in Brazil. Tell us about it.
Yes, actually it's on this coming Sunday, it's Independence Day. But for most Brazilians, the September 7th will be a massive day of rallies all over the country. It is expected that over 10% of the population will be on the streets this Sunday. And the reason why it is because of since USAID fell after Trump took office, Trump took measures to fight the censorship complex and this industrial complex of censorship that took place through USAID, through all the fundings and everything. And since the fall, it was discovered this massive censorship laboratory that has been installed in Brazil. And since then, Donald Trump was able to discover so many wrongdoings and so many things that the Brazilian censorship complex was using, receiving millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm speaking about hundreds of millions of dollars in funding just to implement censorship devices to control the Brazilian population under the Biden administration. Since that, the people of Brazil has discovered and uncovered the whole truth now. So, and now this coming Sunday will be a totally different Sunday because it is the first time in the Brazilian history since the Constitution in 1988, we call the new founding of Brazil, the Constitution of 1988, that so many people will be on the streets to fight against censorship and to protest because of all the Bolsonaro, the persecution and the witch hunt against President Bolsonaro.
And we know that President Trump has spoken in support and in favor of Jair Bolsonaro. And the reason why I like to bring you on, Ricardo, is because we're on the same team in the sense of the free world. We want our countries to be free. And we're glad to see that President Trump has spoken so highly of Jair Bolsonaro and for the people of your country. What would you like to say to the people of America when it comes to censorship and lawfare? We've seen some of that here, but it went a couple more clicks to the left in Brazil, didn't it?
Yes, indeed. Indeed. One of the most important things that we should right now address it is the fact that Donald Trump, it is fighting a war that was never fought before. I don't know, because I was born in 1981, if Ronald Reagan had fought a war like the war that Donald Trump is fighting right now, because he is fighting a rogue war, a silent war. the one that is not use missiles no more. But now it is a war against a system, a establishment, and a new world order that wants to implement this totalitarian regime, not only against Americans, but against so many other countries in the world. And Brazil, why is Brazil in the spotlight for so long time? It is because since 2018, the CIA, with the help of some other agencies, has placed, they started to fund a war against conservatism to, of course, take down Bolsonaro, of course, and with the help with the Biden administration after 2020. And of course, this has increased. And now, since Trump took office, he's been fighting this war to dismantle this whole scheme, this whole mechanism to not only a surveillance mechanism, but also a totalitarian mechanism. And what places this was where this was happening? Of course, Venezuela is a product of not only the drug traffic and narco, but also to fund this totalitarian scheme. And Donald Trump, he decided to take strong measures against it. He's taking a strong step that was never taken. I don't know if my entire life I've seen in the modern world a president that took a stand against the real threat. And because everyone were addressing the issue, but never taking strong measures against the threat. But Donald Trump, he laid his hands on fire to burn his hands for the benefit of the free world.
And that's so true. And he said it the other day, referring to the high crime cities and how politicians are out of touch with the people. He said the politicians are out of tune with the people. And you're saying it exactly right there. He's the real deal. And we see that the cabinet that he has around him, on the right side of history. What's the latest right now for Jair Bolsonaro?
Jair Bolsonaro, he's in home prison now. He cannot leave his home right now because of all the witch hunt. Right? They put the federal police inside of his home. This is the first time in history that a former president have the Brazilian FBI inside of his home 24/7 with the fake narrative that he's going to flee Brazil. And Bolsonaro, he denied. He refused offers from Hungary, from Israel, from Argentina, from Paraguay to leave Brazil and go to another country. But he decided to stay and to fight this war. And the Supreme Court, with the help, with the Lula regime, is trying not only to stop Bolsonaro from running again, but also to kill him. This is what they want right now. It is a strong word, but they want to kill Bolsonaro because they know that Bolsonaro, he is the only one that could stop the force that has taken over Brazil for many years. And Donald Trump have an alliance with Bolsonaro because Donald Trump knows that Bolsonaro loves his country, and Bolsonaro is a decent man, an honest man that loves his country and wants the best for Brazil. And guess what? Donald Trump is watching Brazil very closely. Pay attention to Brazil because Donald Trump is paying close attention to what's happening in the country right now.
On top of that, so on Sunday is Independence Day for Brazil. So you're talking tens of millions of people will take to the streets out there, people just like us here in America in the sense of the free world. We want to have that freedom. And just like in America, we want to see that in Brazil. So last question, your thoughts about when President Trump ordered our U.S. military to take out the narco terrorists in the international waters that were trying to bring drugs to our nation?
Oh, this is so big and so important, Matt, because I don't know if many Americans know, but besides Venezuela, the biggest drug route, it is inside Brazil through the port of Paranaguá in Paraná, the state of Paraná, and also in São Paulo through the port of Santos. So Brazil have this huge crime organization called PCC, a first command of the capital. And Donald Trump wants to place PCC as a terrorist organization so he could also place the military around the Brazilian waters to stop the drug trafficking. Because Americans needs to know that Venezuela, yes, it is a narco state, but Brazil, it is a fake democracy. We call it, ironically speaking, we call it a trans democracy. It is a dictatorship that calls themselves a democracy because they have no freedom. And the drug trafficking and the cartels has taken over Brazil like Colombia like 10, 15 years ago. And now Trump is fighting this. And this is a massive thing. Why? Because so many Americans, I mean, when I say Americans, I say corrupted people in America that is been funding all of this New World Order vanilla and all this scheme that is taking place for censorship and everything, using using money laundering devices and using all sort of a shadow schemes and shadow governments to influence American politics, using money from the cartels to use it against Americans and the free people. So this is massive. This was never these type of measures, Matt. We will see the results within 2-3 years, maybe after the Trump administration or not. I wish Trump could stay, but we will see this shift in the South and the Americas in general, and the entire Americas, because of the actions that Donald Trump is taking. I praise God for all the things that is happening right now, and I just pray for President Trump's health, for God to protect him, because this type of action, Matt, was never taken before. This is totally new, and we Brazilians are appreciated. We pray for President. I mean, I receive a lot of messages every day from my people in Brazil, praying for President Trump and hope that the same thing that is happening in Venezuela could be something to happen in our country in the near future. This is what we expect.
Ricardo Martins shining light into the darkness right now, live on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Ricardo, thank you again for joining us. Stay in touch. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Matt. God bless you guys.
God bless you. You know, it's great to have people, to hear from people that are in touch with the other countries that are out there, right? Just the basics. We're looking for freedom to continue in our country and other countries around the world. But this is what a time we live in, right? What a time we live in. Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
You know, it's great to have awesome sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, like All Family Pharmacy. So unfortunately, flu season's here. So the best time to prepare is in case or before you get sick. So that's why families across the country are turning to All Family Pharmacy, where you can stock up now and get everything your family needs to have on hand, from essential medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, antivirals, and emergency kits. The daily maintenance medications as well, they have it all. And now you can even get that cutting-edge biohacking product like NAD+, methylene blue, GLP-1, weight loss medications, all in one place. I'm telling you, they've built a full lineup to help you prepare for anything. So no more scrambling when someone gets sick. It's simple, fast, and reliable. A licensed doctor reviews every order and writes the prescription for you. If you're looking to stay protected and prepared, this is the pharmacy for you. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use code RSBN10 to save 10% off your order. You can stock up today and have peace of mind tomorrow. So let's also go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, it's great to have the free shipping sale that you see right there. More than 2,000 products on mypillow.com/RSBN. Always great to see free shipping, but also the products are quality and they're great. I know my family and I, we have a number of them. You can get some more of those if you'd like. Go to mypillow.com/RSBN and get that discount using our RSBN promo code. Speaking of Right Side Broadcasting Network, all of the sponsors, all of the donations, all of those dollars go to all of this coverage and as we expand into the future as well. So if you'd like to donate to the network, all you do is text RSBN to 801-801 or go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. You have a couple spots there that you can donate to the network as it's 2:54 Eastern Time. Matthew Alvarez, thanks again for joining us live. We have a lot to get to before we get to the president. Looking forward to playing these videos, including an interview with longtime conservative host Lars Larson on behalf of All Family Pharmacy. Take a look. And joining us now here on RSBN is longtime conservative radio host Lars Larson, representing All Family Pharmacy today. Lars, thank you so much for joining us from the West Coast.
Hey, it's always my pleasure. There's a lot to talk about, isn't there?
There is. And let's just right off the top talk about Portland. I mean, is that something that you think people would be saying, hey, you know what, the National Guard in Portland, good idea?
I think they would be saying that, and they probably are saying that. But the problem is the people who actually get in front of the TV cameras tend to be the elected elites, and they don't want to say those things. I mean, I would imagine that a sensible mayor, Portland does not have a sensible mayor. I kind of had high hopes for him because he's a former businessman and not a longtime politician. But I would think he'd say, yeah, looks like they really cleaned up Washington, D.C. They cleaned up the homeless, number one. Number two, murders are down dramatically. Assaults are down. Rapes are down. Carjacking is down. We'd like that here. Instead, they try to change the agenda because they understand what President Trump was doing and is doing is arresting illegal alien criminals and stopping crime in Washington, D.C., which he has authority over for the best reason is the U.S. Constitution gives he and the Congress authority over D.C. The other cities are saying, don't come here. Don't clean up our crime. Don't arrest the illegal aliens. And you think, does anybody out there in the general public actually agree with that?
Exactly. It makes no sense at all. Democrats love crime. We know they want to destroy the country. They've been trying to do it for so long, but thank God for President Trump and the right side of history. Let's also talk about some of the other reports that we're seeing out there when it comes to COVID and the flu. It looks like those cases are starting to ramp up a bit out there. Not fun to see that. Not fun to talk about, to be honest, but we have to talk about it because we have places like All Family Pharmacy. So can you talk to us about some of the essential medications that you've seen that are there to help out when it comes to COVID and flu and that kind of thing?
Well, of course, all family means it puts it back in your hands, which is where it ought to be. Americans should, in consultation with their doctor, make their own sensible decisions. And having those decisions made by the U.S. government is a bad idea. In fact, I'm sure that you saw the fight that went on this week between a senior U.S. senator, who shouldn't even be a senator at this point, he's been there too many decades, Ron Wyden, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, I'll be honest with you, I was not a fan of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as a presidential candidate. There are lots of things about him that conservatives would not like. His positions on energy, abortion, and everything else. But on vaccines, he's right. If what the government did was say, hey, it's up to you, Americans. You get to make your own decisions about whether or not to take vaccines or not. Now, this is being characterized as he's taking vaccines away from people. No, he's not. I can go to my doctor anytime I want. I never took the jab, and I don't plan to take the jab, but I've been vaccinated for other things like measles over the years, and those vaccines are still active. The mRNA vaccine, I was never a fan of that and decided not to do it. But he's right. Letting the government tell you, you have to take this, and the mandates we saw, that's over. Florida's already said, we're not going to have mandates. Well, what, you're taking vaccines away? No, we're giving it back to the people and saying to the people, if you go to your doctor and your doctor says, I think you ought to take that. If you agree with your doctor, go ahead. If you don't agree with your doctor, don't. It is your decision. Why in the world does the government want to act like our nanny? And what All Family does is they say, You wanted to have ivermectin during the pandemic. You were told no by the government. And there were states, including the state I live in, where we were literally told, even if your doctor writes a prescription and then loses his license for doing it, you can't get that filled at the pharmacy. All Family says to you, we'll get you ivermectin if you want it, Membezadol if you want it, NAD plus if you want it. All of those available. And is this some kind of shady, internet operation? No. You make your request. It goes to a licensed doctor in all 50 states. The licensed doctor looks at it, decides it's appropriate or not, authorizes the prescription, and boom, it comes right to your door. No middleman, no insurance company, no none of that.
It's always good to have an independent pharmacy like this because, again, some of those doctors out there, they'll say no to ivermectin and no to all this stuff. And it's like, well, hold on now. This actually works for the people. So how important is it then for Americans to proactively stock their medicine cabinets with antivirals, pain relievers, and other basics before those supplies run short with this influx?
You can better believe that the Larson household, my wife and I have always been about preparing for the worst. The good book tells us to be prepared for things, and we are. We're prepared with flashlights and generators and other things that would tide us through any kind of emergency. And of course, medicine has to be part of that. You can have all the food in the world if you want and all the barrels of water you want. And if you don't have medicines to tide you through, it's going to be a tough go. Maybe even something horrible will happen if you don't have access to those things. We get so used to the idea that if I have an infection, I'll go to the doctor and the doctor will write me a script. You need to be prepared for those things in the occasion where doctors are unavailable. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but anytime you want to get a clinic or an appointment or go to an emergency room, God forbid, you may be there for a dozen hours. I'm literally talking about the experience of my family, unable to get a doctor just to say, yes, this is the problem, and yes, this is the thing you should have. You've got this big barrier in front of you, even though both you and I enjoy very good health care, low copays and all that. None of that matters if you can't get to the person who can actually put the pills in your hand.
Exactly. That's that streamlining that I love about All Family Pharmacy. You've got these doctors that are licensed in all 50 states. You have the pharmacists, and then you're able to get ivermectin shipped to your door. It's pretty easy to do, which is good because right now, to your point, just as you have a personal story, so do I. My wife and I had COVID during Christmas, and it was on actual Christmas Day. We were still sick with COVID.
Wow.
I wish we had ivermectin. We were caught there without ivermectin. It was not cool. Not cool at all.
No, and having the ability to have it come right to you. And isn't that what we all kind of want? We want to have medicine be very personal. Instead, government would like to turn medicine into something like a factory, where you show up and you stand in line and then maybe you get to the head of the line and maybe you get what you want. I would like medicine to get back to where you have a personal relationship with someone. And in this case, if you've got to go to a doctor through All Family Pharmacy, then you do that. And you do it because they will look at the conditions you've specified and say, no, this is justified, and I will write the script for you. It is so frustrating to say, I know what this is. My wife gets kidney stones, and pretty, every couple of years she'll get a kidney stone, and we know what's going on. We say, we know what the problem is. If you want to run some other tests to make sure it's not something else, fine. But at the end of that, can you help us out? And oftentimes, modern medicine and the healthcare institutions that we're subject to are very not very user-friendly. Let's put it that way.
It's so true. It's like all that red tape. And I know you've been, and you still are, a journalist, a host for decades. We see the dog and pony shows at those various press events with politicians, the red tape, the bureaucracy. And when you look at All Family Pharmacy, it seems as if it's all of that is to the side, and you're able to get exactly what you're looking for without so many delays on the other side of the fence.
Well, and look at what's going on. That hearing I referred to this week with Senator Ron Wyden and RFK Jr. As I said, there are plenty of things I disagree with RFK Jr. about, but he's telling Wyden, he says, you've received millions of dollars, not personally, but for his campaign, from pharmaceutical companies. And now you're supporting their interests by saying, we want the government to mandate these things. Why? Because if the government mandates something or even says this is our recommendation, then the big pharmacy companies not All Family, but I'm talking about the folks who manufacture this stuff, they're looking at billions of dollars that they make. And they made billions during the pandemic. And an awful lot of Americans still got sick. So if you have to say, if it cost us billions of dollars and it didn't actually, stop people from getting sick, then I want something more direct than that. And I want to take a hand in my own healthcare decisions. All Family does that.
Exactly. All Family Pharmacy, that independent choice that we have out there. Wonderful to have that option. And finally, sir, your broadcast audience out there, podcasting and radio, what were some of the things that you've been working on lately and talking about to we the people there on the West Coast and throughout the country?
I think what we've been talking about the most is that Donald Trump is the 80-20 president. That is, he picks the things that 80% of Americans want, and the Democrats are stuck with the things that only 20% of Americans want. Like the Democrats standing up for the 11 Tren de Aragua gang members in that boat full of drugs. Donald Trump blew them out of the water. And the Democrats and much of the media, not you, but not me, but much of the media say, how dare you blow up these drug dealers? Do you think that there weren't a whole bunch of Americans who saw that video, because there was video of what the U.S. military did, saying, yeah, let's go out and blow up some drug dealers, and if you say, well, they didn't get due process and you should have arrested them and given them a trial. They were in international waters. They were carrying drugs into our country. Those drugs and the overdoses cost over 100,000 lives a year. And you want them to have due process? I want them at the bottom of the ocean.
A lot of people agree, because you think about it, President Trump labeled them a terrorist organization. So drug cartels are not just drug cartels anymore. They're terrorist organizations. Great point. Lars Larson, longtime conservative host. Thank you so much for joining us, talking about All Family Pharmacy. Again, go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Lars, thank you again, sir.
Or you could also go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lars if you'd rather.
All right. Good choices right there. Lars Larson, thank you so much, sir. Have a good day.
Take care now and have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you, sir. All right, so let's talk about that a little bit. The DOD, they posted a message on social media yesterday on the heels of our military taking out the drug cartel narco terrorist in international waters the other day, all from the Maduro regime in Venezuela. So this message just yesterday saying, today, meaning yesterday, 2 Maduro regime military aircraft flew near a U.S. Navy vessel in international waters. This highly provocative move was designed to interfere with our counter-narco terror operations. The cartel running Venezuela is strongly advised not to pursue any further effort to obstruct, deter, or interfere with counter-narcotics and counter-terror operations carried out by the U.S. military. That statement from the Department of Defense just yesterday in regards to these couple jets that they were the Venezuelan jets that were flying in some of the area there. So looking live at the White House, looking forward to seeing the president with not only the executive order signings today, he will also deliver that announcement, which we're all waiting for. There's a lot of news about what it may be. We're just going to keep it cool here. I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but here's the point. What we know is that we have the greatest president of our lifetimes right there in that White House. Speaking of that, why don't we do this? Let's go to Southwest Florida. If you've been watching our broadcast this week, there's this pro-Trump coffee shop in Punta Gorda, Florida, the Bean on 41 coffee shop. Why don't you take a look at clip 13?
We were done. This country was done. And now we are reborn. We're going to be better than ever.
Sitting there sipping on that Starbucks cup, hating on everything. USA! USA! Toby Keith, climb back in my truck.
We're kind of okay with 2020 being rigged now because look at him. He's sharpened, he's fine-tuned, he knows who needs to go. And we are very appreciative here. It should not be newsworthy for a coffee shop to have love for the President of the United States in the United States. So I'm going to keep the lights on and the doors open for all you Trump lovers. Come down, get the best cup of coffee in town, the best people in town, and keep the party going.
Drawing the line, if this country ain't something you can stand behind, then that's the difference between me and you, 'cause my true colors are red, white, and blue.
Second World War. I ain't ever given up on what he fought for. And if they're coming here, aiming to take what we got, we're gonna fight, fight, fight. Go on and take your shot, but I ain't leaving it. I'm an 8th generation, God-fearing blue collar with a flag waving, and I don't wait for the 4th of July. It's year round, lifelong American pride, and right here, right now, drawing the line. If this country ain't something you can stand behind.
At Trumpy Town. Oh look, there's Roger Stone on the back of his yacht over there, and my customers bought their flags here. But it's also home of the world famous signed autograph by General Flynn, my Trumpy bear. Only one in the world, just like Trumpy Town. And we love our president, we respect our president, we appreciate our president. As long as he's keep getting hate, I'm gonna be here.
Generation, God-fearing blue.
Around 2018, the founder of Trumpy Town, the former owner, had the concept because it was a sad place to hang out. Bunch of liberals complaining about everything under the sun. He went to a Trump rally, light bulb went off, he came back, hung the first Trump flag up, and they all left, and a whole bunch of awesome people showed up, and the rest is history. I've worked here for 5 years. And we made it through the Biden years, barely. So when the former owner decided he needed to retire, we were gonna close. And nobody was good with that. So I bought the place so we can keep it going, and I've rebuilt it bigger and better because the Trumpies are worth it. They are. Trump is worth it. But his supporters, they've done nothing wrong. They're all good people. And I'm gonna keep celebrating all of them.
Raise your hand if you want the National Guard in big cities across America.
Absolutely. Get rid of that crime.
Sit more.
Not doing anything. I crank up some Toby Keith.
President, we are ready for you to lead. You give us the orders, we'll go. Freedom has to be defended. God bless you.
Start holding some of the politicians accountable for the stuff that they've done, especially the Democrats. The Republicans seem to have a way to eat their own if something goes wrong, but if a Democrat does something, that kind of slides.
Inklings of communism creeping into our country. I'd like to see him put a stop to it right now before it gets further on.
Yeah, no Zoran Mamdani, right?
No.
Your thoughts about the country and just what do you think needs to be done?
Continue to clean up the legal situation.
We need vindication for January 6th. There needs to be more investigation. What we have here, like the group just getting together, this is what America should be.
This is what America's about.
This is America. The right to be free, and we want to fight for it.
I could not live without them, not at this point. I've given everything I have to keep this place open so that we can stay together. And I've got people worldwide, every state in this country that come here and tell me, ooh, we could never have this where we come from. Yeah, you can. It takes courage. Stand up. Courage is contagious. Make it happen. Thank you, Donald Trump, for stepping up. We love you. There's always free coffee or Diet Coke on the house for you. Find me.
Come to Trumpy Town.
When you keep doing the right thing, Mr. President, so far so good. He's a true patriot. He understands the core problems of America, and him and his family have sacrificed their wealth, their security, their comfort to address the problem. That means this man loves America, and therefore I love him.
Freedom in America costs everybody, and we all work to make it free.
Well, I fought for freedom. I'm actually a military veteran, so it means the world to me. When we had Obama and then Joe Biden in, the censoring on social media was going insane. I mean, it was just, they were censoring free speech, which is a First Amendment protected right. And I'm just like, this is not okay. They're taking our freedom slowly. It's not what I fought for.
So this is Right Side Appreciation Day at Trumpy Town, because without you guys, I don't know if it could have gone as awesome as it has. You guys have stood behind him since day one. And we thank you from Trumpy Town.
Shout out to the Bean on 41 Coffee Shop in Punta Gorda, Florida. We'll have a live interview with one of the great patriots you actually just saw on that video at about 3:45 Eastern. Looking forward to that. Thank you to the Duggar Band for letting us use their song True Colors underneath our video. And a shout out to the great Truth Social and Devin Nunez for the retruth on that video. It's 3:14 Eastern time. We have a number of sponsors to talk about here. Let's go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Unfortunately, we know that flu season is here, and the best time to prepare is in case or before you get sick. That's why families across the country are turning to All Family Pharmacy, where you can stock up now and get everything your family needs to have on hand, from essential medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, and antivirals to emergency kits and daily maintenance medications. They have it all. And now you can even get cutting-edge biohacking products like NAD+, methylene blue, and GLP-1 weight loss medications all in one place. They've built a full lineup to help you prepare for anything, so no more scrambling when someone gets sick. It's simple, fast, and reliable. A licensed doctor reviews every order and writes the prescription for you. So if you're looking to stay protected and prepared, this is the pharmacy for you. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that code RSBN10 to save 10% off your order. You can stock up today and have peace of mind tomorrow. Monetary Gold, another great sponsor here at Right Side. The BRICS Alliance is growing, and their goal is simple: to destroy the dollar's power. So you have those countries out there like Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now more nations are lining up to join. They're building this new digital currency, a currency they'll use instead of the dollar. That means rogue nations can trade without fear of U.S. sanctions. And when the world stops using dollars, unfortunately, savings loses value overnight. So you can call 888-617-7994 or the number you see there on your screen, or go to rsbnforthegold.com. You can protect what you worked for with Monetary Gold. Let's also go to one more sponsor, callshe.com/RSBN. You can download the Callshe app if you'd like. You can go to callshe.com/RSBN, or you can go to that QR code if you're looking to bet, trade, or check out polls on various topics out there. You can do so through Callshe with more than 1 million users online. Callshe.com/RSBN. 3 great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network as it is 3:16 Eastern Time on this Friday, September 5th. Thanks for tuning in, streaming in, wherever you're watching across America. We're waiting for President Trump. That's what we're doing here. As we have this pre-show coverage, a number of videos still to get to. We have a couple live interviews to get to as well, as we want to stay on top of all of the news that's happening throughout our country. Whatever works when it comes to bringing freedom to this nation, whether it's prayer, hard work, voting, speaking truth into darkness, which is something that conservative media does on a daily basis now. Great to see that, whether it's online, whether it's podcasts, whether it's network news like this. This is Right Side Broadcasting Network, right? And there's a lot of conservative media out there. So it's the solution to the junk on the left side of the aisle. And that is, I mean, there's so many words you can come up with when it comes to how terrible it is on the left side of the aisle when it comes to this lamestream media, as the great late Rush Limbaugh called it, the fake news that President Trump called it. And now what you have are people that are on the right side of history saying, you know what, I'm going to step up, speak out, say something, because we want our country literally to be saved and restored going into the future. So, I was thinking about the midterm elections and how President Trump said that there's going to be, or there may be, a Republican national midterm convention, something that's never been done before. And I was thinking about what city would be a great town to have that in. And since my family and I were just on the southwest coast of Florida over Labor Day weekend, thank God, we're that close to it here in Alabama. But the point is, I think Tampa Bay, where the Tampa Bay Lightning have their, hockey, that would be a great arena for it right there in Southwest Florida. That is the national treasure, Stephen Miller. Let's go there live outside the White House right now.
Very soon, so I don't want to step on any announcements he may make, but I'm happy to take a few short questions. Can we just get your reaction to the jobs report? The president has presided over the most extraordinary economic turnaround in American history. During the Biden administration, we saw 0 net job gains for American workers in 4 years, which is an economic depression for American workers. It's an actual depression. Since President Trump has came into office, 100% of job gains have gone to American workers, as millions of foreign workers who are here illegally have left the country. So this is the biggest economic turnaround in American history. On top of that, you have $4 trillion from the CBO. It's going to be much more than that coming into the Treasury from the tariffs, the historic trade policy. You have well over $15 trillion of pledged foreign investment coming into the country to revitalize the economy, and you have the passage of the largest package of tax cuts and reforms in American history. So we are living through the most successful, extraordinary economic revival. You see car plants coming in, you see steel plants coming in, you see manufacturing plants coming in. You're going to see all these critical industries, pharmaceuticals, chips, semiconductors, reshoring. It is truly the great American revival that President Trump has unleashed. And of course, we're also going to, we have seen the most extraordinary job growth for American workers and American citizens that we've seen in recent history, coming off a period of 4 years where every single job went to a foreign worker. Foreign workers are now leaving the economy. American workers are getting all the benefits. And of course, we have larger issues to deal with the integrity of BLS that President Trump has spoken about. And we're going to get that fixed, and we're going to get honest and accurate jobs numbers. Next question. Yes, sorry. Yes. Yep.
Can you respond to Washington, D.C. trains to the Trump administration over the National Guard?
Well, I think the important thing is, the D.C. Attorney General's office is a separate office. It's not part of the mayor's office. Not many people may realize that in Washington, D.C., that the Attorney General operates completely separate from the mayor's office, and which is an unusual setup because typically, the mayor would control the full administration of the justice authority within her city. The mayor's office, as you know, issued an executive order requiring long-term cooperation between the city and the federal government. And that's what President Trump has asked for from the beginning. He said that we want cities that want our help to formally seek it out and request it. And so the mayor, to her credit, she signed an executive order creating the framework for that long-term cooperation. And now as a result of that executive order, the federal law enforcement assets, the National Guard assets, and the full federal apparatus will be able to work with the city to deliver this extraordinary public safety improvement for the long term. And you're only seeing the very beginnings of this. So, during the first few weeks, of course, we've seen these radical reductions in violent crime. We're just getting started. DEA, ATF, FBI have only just begun to identify, disrupt, and dismantle the criminal organizations that have been wreaking havoc on this city for so long. And we're going to take them apart, member by member, group by group, piece by piece, and we're going to set this city free. I have time for one last question.
Even on immigration, could I ask you on immigration? And the Democrats attempt to drive a wedge between President Trump and Secretary Kennedy. Their attempt to do that, I guess, today's CDC hearing.
The Democrats are continuing to support a completely failed approach to public health that we've seen over generations has resulted in chronic increases in obesity, in diabetes, in heart health, and just in general, the chronic disease burden on America has been extraordinary. It is the number one driver of public health costs, and it's the number one driver of early deaths. And of course, in particular, especially tragic has been the early childhood chronic disease burden. So, and I say this as a parent of young children, there's so many kids who have allergies, who have asthma, who have skin conditions, for example, psoriasis or eczema, who have all kinds of chronic digestive issues, gut issues. There's so many health issues. Not to mention, of course, the particularly terrifying illnesses like pediatric cancer. And so President Trump and RFK are working on getting to the systemic causes. What is our environment? What is in our approach to healthcare? What is in our approach to medicine that is either failing to address or is contributing to this chronic disease burden? And we all celebrate RFK, Bobby, for his leadership in this issue. And President Trump has been committed from the beginning to developing a comprehensive approach to reducing chronic illness in America. Time for one last question. Anything over here?
On Venezuela, President of Colombia is saying that Cartel of the Suns does not exist. What can you answer, and which message do you send to people in Venezuela after this indictment of Nicolas Maduro?
Well, as you know, and thank you for bringing it up, Nicolas Maduro is an indicted drug trafficker. He's indicted in federal court. He's a fugitive from justice in America. As I think you're also aware, there's a $50 million reward for the return of Nicolas Maduro. Not just him, his henchmen have also been indicted. So it is a drug cartel that is running Venezuela. This is a very important point. It is not a government, it is a drug cartel a narco trafficking organization that is running Venezuela. And this has been documented in federal court, and indictments have been secured. The people of Venezuela have been suffering and struggling under the reality of a nation that is so rich in resources, so rich in reserves, that is run by Maduro, the head of the cartel that you referenced, the Cartel de los Sols. That is absolutely one of the most ruthless criminal cartels on the planet. And many Americans may not realize that the drugs killing their kids are coming from Maduro, and also the criminal aliens killing their kids are coming from Maduro. So he's sending his drugs, he is sending his killers, his assassins into our communities, and he's working directly with other designated foreign terrorist organizations like the FARC in Colombia and all the Mexican drug cartels. So it's one continuous loop. And for decades and for years, for generations, we used our military to engage in action against terrorists in the Middle East and in Africa, while leaving unharmed the terrorists in our own hemisphere who are responsible for so much more American deaths, so many more American deaths, who have spilled so much blood across the Western Hemisphere, who have bereaved so many parents and families, and who have contributed to such a horrific cycle and just nonstop, relentless surge of violence in our cities. Every major city in America is suffering from cartel violence. Even the U.S.-based gangs they're working directly with these cartels. The drugs, the guns, the weapons, the cash, the organization. We've been occupied by cartels for far too long. President Trump is finally allowing and directing the United States military to use its authorities under the Constitution to defend America from the terrorist organizations that have run free for too long in our own hemisphere. Thank you all. Thank you for the question.
One foreign policy.
Have they started yet, sir? ICE in Chicago?
The great Stephen Miller telling it like it is. And it's great to have so many people like Stephen and others at the White House there. They're just speak, that common sense, that truth in the darkness. And it's wonderful to be able to cover that kind of thing here at Right Side Broadcasting Network and in conservative media as it's 3:25. So let's do this. Let's bring you up to speed if you're just joining us now on what the heck's happening a bit later today. So we see at the bottom of the screen at 4 o'clock, the president will sign executive orders at that time. He'll also make an announcement at that time. So yesterday on the public schedule, it was a 2 o'clock executive order signing and a 4 o'clock announcement. Well, those two events are now made into one, where there is just the one event at 4 o'clock. So we'll see the president sign the executive orders, then make the announcement. Then, of course, after that, something that we always like to watch here at Right Side, and I'm sure you like to watch out there in the country, is when President Trump takes on the fake news press. It's always fun to see that happen. Also, it's great to see that we have conservative media, new media seats there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So great to have you join us here live right now, 3:26 on this Friday, September 5th. Speaking of the weekend coming up, tomorrow, of course, is Saturday. We're looking at college football all across our land, and the White House put out a video. Take a look.
We have never in the history of this sport been more back than we are this week. We are all the way back. It's the best sport on the face of planet Earth.
That man next to you is a miracle. That man next to you is a believer. That man next to you is a go-getter. That man next to you is a dog. That man next to you is somebody who wants this thing. That man next to you is somebody who believes. That man next to you is somebody that got to have it today. We ain't got tomorrow. We got now. We ain't got next. We got now. We ain't coming no more.
Well, for those of you that like sports, I'm ready to go, right? Let's go. Let's go play some football or play some sports out there. Baseball's happening now. A lot of great sports out there in our country. And back to some of the news here. The Washington Times is saying that this is the 200th executive order that President Trump is signing for his the second term. This is 228 days ago that President Trump was inaugurated into the White House there. And now This will be the 200th executive order that we've seen in some 228 days. So we look forward to that. All right, before we get to our live guest, we have a few sponsors to talk about here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, including angelpace.com out of Spring, Texas. All right, so they hire military veterans. They've got great products, or they have great products. Long-time sponsor here at Right Side. So hiring military veterans plus Spring, Texas, plus a good product, plus being a long-time sponsor, just a few reasons why. Definitely check them out. Angelpace.com. You have the Miracle Cream and other products there. Angelpace.com. Let's shift over to Cove Pure right now. As you've heard us talk about Cove Pure before, and for good reason. It's because we believe that clean drinking water is one of the best investments you can make for your family's health. I agree with that 100%. Here's something you might not realize. So when people take medications, their bodies don't absorb all of it. All right, most of you may know that. But much of that stuff, of course, gets flushed down the toilet, and water treatment plants are mostly horrible at filtering out those leftover pharmaceuticals, things like antibiotics, antidepressants, and even hormone disruptors from birth control pills. So no wonder our society is needing some help when it comes to the water aspect. Luckily, Cove Pure is lab certified to remove up to 99.9% of impurities. That includes fluoride, PFAs, agricultural runoff, and of course, pharmaceutical drugs. The first thing you're going to notice with Cove Pure is the taste. It's what water's supposed to taste like. Pure, clean, no aftertaste. You'll actually want to drink more water. And Cove Pure makes it so easy. It sits on your countertop, no plumbers, no drilling. You just fill it up and plug it in, and you can even select what temperature you want, hot, cold, or warm, just with the tap of a button. So you wouldn't want to take a stranger's drug prescription, so I accept their leftovers in your water. Not sounding good. Protect yourself, of course, with the link below, covepure.com/RSBN. You can save on a special discount with that promo code up to $200. So $200 off of Cove Pure. All right, let's go to Tax Network USA as it's the bottom of the hour, 3:30, 800-357-1415 is the number. TNUSA.com/RSBN. If you've missed any back taxes or you're looking for just to get back on track with your taxes there, you can do that with Tax Network USA. 800-357-1415 is the phone number. Bottom of the hour, 3:30. Thanks again for joining us Friday, September 5th. Let's go through a few more things here, including the president's public schedule. Now, what we have confirmed is on September 23rd, the president will return to the Big Apple to address the United Nations. And we're hearing per some reports out there, including Fox, that next Thursday, September 11th, the president will attend the New York Yankees game to honor the victims of 9/11 from the 24th anniversary. It's going to be the 24th anniversary on Thursday. So that's what we'll be tracking when it comes to the president. Of course, every day we have various things to cover here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go now to Justine Brooke Murray with the Media Research Center. Justine, thank you so much for joining us on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thanks for having me back.
Definitely. Let's talk about a few things out there. I saw on the Drudge Report, which I think the Drudge Report is just an aggregate of a lot of fake news, a lot of pushing an agenda. There's some true stories on there, but mostly it's all against President Trump. They're trying to push, along with the mainstream media, Gavin Newsom for 2028 as the leader for the Democrat Party and to run against, whoever it will be, Vance or whoever. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, the leftist media is really trying to make leftist Trump happen, but they just can't, because only President Trump can be Trump. And Gavin Newsom, it's just so pathetic how hard he is trying. It's really a social media team. It's a bunch of kids on X they think they're being very witty and funny, typing in all caps, cursing, and actually being quite vulgar. President Trump is actually very crafty, and he's actually funny, and he's an interesting person to listen to. Gavin Newsom, he's just a copycat. And I saw Jonathan Capehart. He is an MSNBC contributor. He went on to PBS, so two legacy media outlets, leftist media outlets joining together to really puff up Newsom. And they just seem very desperate at this point. Nobody is buying it, but hey, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So President Trump should, and I bet he is very flattered by this. But of course, Newsom, this attempt at rebranding yourself, it's going to work, as well as MSNBC trying to rebrand themselves as independent by calling themselves MS Now, or what their logo looks like, MSPMS.
Yeah, exactly. And the logo MS Now looks awful. I mean, you know, the only people that are watching that are, of course, people that are extreme left and are anti-God, family, country, all the stuff that we are for. So we know that to be true. Now, speaking of Gavin Newsom, a bit later in the broadcast, we're going to play the video that President Trump posted on Wednesday night when he started posting all of these very funny videos. We're going to get to that in a minute. We played it yesterday. It was kind of funny. We'll get to that in a minute. But speaking of President Trump, this is a real successful plan that he has with this surge of the National Guard throughout all the cities across our country. You know, we haven't seen it happen yet in Chicago and other cities, but do you think that we should just go to these cities with the National Guard?
Honestly, there's been no other way that has worked under Democrat leadership. I worked in New York for a while. I had also lived in D.C. under Joe Biden. And I remember how it was so locked up, you couldn't even walk outside without wearing your mask or getting a jab in order to go into a store. You couldn't go out to eat. You couldn't do anything. You were treated as a second-class citizen. Meanwhile, salivating vagrants, crackheads could follow you around on the street. It was the first time I was at Union Station last weekend on Labor Day weekend going home. It was the first time I was actually not being followed by a bum. What a surprise. D.C. was actually beautiful for once. The leftist media, our Democrat politicians, they just don't understand that because they don't have to take the metro every day. They don't have to take the subway every day. I remember being accosted by a vagrant just a couple of months ago on the metro. This was right after I moved back down from New York, thinking, okay, DC might be a little bit safer. No, it's not. It's the #4 murder capital in this country. And I was chased on the metro by this bump twice. And the metro cop just stood, he was very nice, but he was hamstrung. He stood there and he goes, yeah, sorry, he's a regular, as if he was just some average Joe at a bar. They couldn't do anything about it. And now they actually can. Why is the left so angry that people actually want to be safe for once?
I know. J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, Karen Bass of L.A., Gavin Newsom of California, those four right there, they want crime, don't they? It seems like they want crime. Why would you ever say, no, we don't need any extra help, but we'll take your federal tax dollars?
Of course, part of it is they're trying to retain power. They're worried that if President Trump actually does clean up their blue cities, if President Trump actually does lower the housing costs and America is healthy again, this is why they're also angry at RFK. They're worried how they'll do in the midterms if America actually looks like it truly is improving from the Biden administration. And another reason is that the left truly believes that because you have a couple of haves and have-nots, everybody should live in squalor. Of course, except for them. They can go off to their waiting cars every day and feel morally superior, that somehow they're sympathizing with the poor, mental health victims in society, you know, the ones that shove us on subway platforms and murder people in Chicago by somehow just letting them out on the street to kill again.
It's unbelievable to see the amount of crime out there. There's some statistics that I'm going to go to right now, actually. A lot of information that we're seeing out there when it comes to Chicago. In 2024, Chicago's murder rate per capita was 3 times higher than Los Angeles and nearly 5 times higher than New York City. So just Chicago alone, obviously they need some help there. Let's shift over to what happened the other day as we saw the military take out the narco terrorist in the international waters. Other people are saying, well, why did they take such a drastic action? Well, maybe because those narcotics have killed Americans, right? What are your thoughts about that, Justine?
Right, they're so disillusioned. CNN actually reported this. Their headline was 11 people killed in Trump strike that is, quote unquote, escalating.
Wait, hold on, Justine, hold on. Did you just say that that CNN reported that?
That's CNN. That's how they phrased the story.
They said 11 people killed in a strike from, I did not see that headline. They legit said that?
Legitimately, as if they're treating the Trump administration. Yep, as if they're treating the Trump administration like a terrorist organization. This sounds like the rhetoric that would come out of, a Houthi propaganda piece or a Hamas PR piece. They're actually taking the side. It really seems like they're actually taking the side of these terrorists. It's one thing if they're going to try to spin things as they usually do by bending over backwards to make everything the Trump administration, every action they make seem like a bad thing. But it's even worse when they actually are peddling the same rhetoric that those narco terrorists would peddle at the same time.
That's wild. It's really wild to see that the mainstream media is still trying to push their agenda because they realize that they're losing ratings by leaps and bounds, aren't they?
They certainly are. And they seem to not know what to do about that. They're trying to all rebrand themselves as new media. I don't know how they're going to do that. And they somehow think simply by changing their names and firing a couple of people that write a tweet here and there it's really going to do it. But you really have to conduct a complete overhaul of your organization if you're really going to try to be truthful, because everyone right down, unfortunately, to even the teleprompter scroller, you just can't trust at CNN or MSNBC, PMS.
Yeah, exactly. And many other outlets out there. Unfortunately, 90+% of media globally, including our nation, is on the left side of history and the wrong side of history. Thank God for the Media Research Center, Right Side Broadcasting Network, other conservative networks out there. Justine Brooke-Murray, where can people watch your show, and tell us more about that?
Sure thing. Head over to mrctv.org. You can also find us on X. We are at MRC TV. We're also at the MRC. And then you can find our Newsbusters page at Newsbusters.
All right. Thank you so much, Justine Brooke-Murray with the Media Research Center. Thanks for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thank you, as always.
Thank you. All right, so it's a 3:40, 20 minutes now until we see President Trump at the White House there. If it's a little bit delayed, of course, we'll be hanging here tight with you. So let's do this, guys. I mean, are you ready for this? Buckle your seatbelts, please, because we did this yesterday, and I almost laughed myself out of this chair that I'm sitting in right now. The left-wing radicals are pushing for Gavin Newsom to be the lead candidate in 2028 for what's left of the Democrat Party. However, this is what we, the people, think of Gavin Newsom in a post from President Trump on Wednesday night, clip 15. Take a look. You know, it's one of those videos that if you're not really watching what's on the screen right now, maybe you're in the kitchen or in the living room and you overhear that, you're like, what the heck are they playing? Well, President Trump posted that along with a number of other funny memes and videos the other day, and it's a free country and we can play it too right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. But I mean, isn't that the truth? Gavin Newsom, seriously? Anyway, all right, so let's move on. At 4 o'clock, of course, we see that the president will sign some executive orders. We do know this will be the 200th executive order coming up for President Trump. Also, we know that he'll make that announcement at 4 o'clock. So here's the upcoming schedule. Again, President Trump will be in New York on September 11th at the New York Yankees game in honor of the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. On the 23rd, the president will return to the Big Apple to address the United Nations. We'll also have another live interview coming up here in just a minute as we are continuing to hold down the fort, getting ready for President Trump coming up in a few minutes. All right, let's go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Unfortunately, flu season is here, and the best time to prepare is in case or before you get sick. So that's why families across the country are turning to All Family Pharmacy, where you can stock up now and get everything your family needs to have on hand, from essential medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, and antivirals, to emergency kits and daily maintenance medications. They have it all. So now you can even get the cutting-edge biohacking products like NAD+, methylene blue, and GLP-1 weight loss medications all in one place. They've built a full lineup to help you prepare for anything, so no more scrambling when someone gets sick. It's simple, fast, and reliable. A licensed doctor reviews every order and writes the prescription for you. So if you're looking to stay protected and prepared, this is the pharmacy for you right there. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use code RSBN10 to save 10% off your order. You can stock up today and have peace of mind tomorrow. Let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. More than 2,000 products on that great site for the great Mike Lindell. Everything from those pillows, slides, slippers, the Giza Dream Sheets, the dog bed, the coffee, all sorts of stuff there. Great stuff as well. mypillow.com/RSBN. If you'd like to donate to RSBN, you can do so by texting RSBN to 801-801. Also, rsbnetwork.com/donate. And I actually have a mailing address for you too, a P.O. box for those of you that would like to send a check. There are a number of donors that send monthly to Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you'd like to be a part of that, you can just mail us cash or a check to 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. It's 3:43. I'm Matthew Alvarez. This is RSBN Live. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more after this.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Tired of being told no by your doctor, your pharmacy, or worse, your insurance company? You're not alone. Millions of Americans are waking up to a broken healthcare system. That's why more and more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy. We believe in medical freedom. We deliver the prescription and the medication, all from licensed U.S. doctors and pharmacists, from ivermectin and trusted antibiotics to maintenance medications, even NAD+, the revolutionary anti-aging supplement. Use code RSBN10 at checkout for 10%.
Welcome back. It is 3:45 on the East Coast. Thanks so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez here for RSBN Live. We're waiting for President Trump. We'll be seeing him in a little bit. But before we get to President Trump and other videos in the 24/7 news cycle, let's now bring on the show conservative author and analyst Mason Weaver, joining us live from Florida. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on Right Side.
My pleasure. I'm going to enjoy myself.
It's great. It's so awesome because I know that you, sir, were with a bunch of great people down there in Punta Gorda the other day. So that's where I ran into you. So how awesome was that?
It was my little hideout for you guys. Spoiled it all. Now everybody knows where it is. I moved here in 2021, found this great little quaint little coffee shop, and everybody was red and mega and excited and righteous. Great place to be, man. I enjoyed myself. Then you came in and drew it out of us with your interviews. Got us chanting what we all believe in our hearts. It was a great time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, chanting USA and then FJB for fun and old time's sake, right? You guys were with the flags outside along Route 41 there. All of that Trump gear. And if you're just joining us right now, guys, you guys can go to @MatthewAlvarez if you'd like and watch the video that Devin Nunes retruthed in regards to this coffee shop. This is the Bean on 41 coffee shop in Punta Gorda, Florida. My family and I were visiting some friends in over Labor Day down there, and we ran into people like Mason and others at the great shop there. Let's talk about freedom. I know that you served, sir, correct, in the military. Let's talk about the need for freedom in the United States of America.
Freedom is an internal flame that has to be there to get you to motivate against the enemy. I went to Vietnam. I joined the Navy the same day that the king was murdered. Freedom. And what we have now is this: the Democratic Party is always the party trying to tell you they will give you freedom. You can't give a grown man freedom. I have to earn it or take it. So what we see now in America, everyone's getting tired of the lies of the Democrats. They're getting tired of liberalism. They see it only works for the slave masters, and they're leaving. I'm just stunned across the country. People that are walking away, churches that have been part of the Democratic lying machine for decades are now waking up. I'm excited about what America has in store for it, because we can only get to the future if you get there honestly.
Yeah, exactly. And you were saying during the interviews while we were in Florida a few days ago, about the Democrats and crime, and how the reason why they want crime to stick around in cities like Chicago. Can you break that down again for us? Because I posted it on Truth Social. I said, this is an interview that the mainstream media wouldn't ever air.
No. Democrats are the party of misery. They get their power, influence by managing problems. They create a problem and they get billions of dollars to manage it. That's why they will never get rid of poverty, crime, drugs. They will never get rid of bad schools. They will never get rid of it. So we have to stop allowing the ungodly to rule our kids. They get paid. They own every ghetto in America. They're the target of every single civil rights action. It was against Democrats. And look at Republicans. People say, what have Republicans done? First, Republicans founded every black university, everyone in this country. Republicans sent 300,000 white men to go south to fight their brothers to free strangers. That's what they've done. They owe us nothing else but a thank you. Now our job is to take advantage of the privileges and rights given to us and won for us and prosper. Stop looking for someone to take care of you and take care of yourself.
Exactly. I'm sure everyone's agreeing with you there, sir. I know that we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty there. I guess we see you back. But,
liberalism.
Yeah, no, exactly. Liberalism, globalism. You're making me think about T.S. Dixon's book about the woke mind viruses. And I know you've written a book, too. Can you tell us about the title of it and about that book?
I've written 12 books. The first one was It's Okay to Leave the Plantation. And the last one was The Democrat Party Hates America. But this particular book, I happen to have it in my hand. Tribalism is going to be changed into a movie. We're producing a movie to explain the journey. A black gang member gets shot and wakes up 150 years in the past doing slavery, still remembers the future, and he learns lessons of why we act the way we act today. It is always, always a slave master.
Mason, can you hold up the book right in front of you, because you got the zoom there? Well, down a little bit, down a little bit, and keep going down. Let's see if it'll work.
Down.
There you go.
Oh,
there you go. Yeah, tribalism. There we go.
Tribalism. You always get to MaceWeber.com, but what can I say?
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
I'm excited about the movie because they got great people in. I got a 2-time Emmy Award-winning director. They're serious about this movie, and it's going to change the way America thinks about itself. And we win, folks, when we all show up.
And you were talking about your love for President Trump the other day, just saying, you know what, he loves the country, therefore I love him, right?
And you can tell he loves the country. I asked Laura Bush one day, was backstage at an event. I asked her, why did your family give up all of this? The man owns 512 businesses worldwide. He has golf courses all over the world, a nice jet plane, gold toilets in his house. Why you give this up for all this agony and hate? And he said, he looked at me like I was crazy and said, for my grandkids. I said, I support you for my grandkids too. Exactly right. Our grandkids.
So you also helped out in the president's campaign. Can you tell us what year that was and all of that?
2018, President, he brought a number of us together in Washington, D.C. to form the Black Voices for Trump Advisory Board. And we gave him advice on how to handle that particular part of the population, and had a record number of black votes turn to him because everyone wants freedom. Everyone wants freedom. And what Donald Trump was doing, he wasn't giving you anything but the opportunity to compete. And that's all we ever wanted. Anything a black man thinks we can do, in our mind, we dominate. We do pretty good. So I thought in college I could be a business owner. I thought I could retire early. I thought I could be married for 35 years. I thought that, and I did that. We got to change our thinking and stop being so emotional and led by our slave managers.
So if J.B. Pritzker, Brandon Johnson, Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, AOC, Chuck Schumer, on and on and on, Adam Schiff, who else? Cory Booker, if they were Maxine Waters, if they were all watching this, mm-hmm. what would you say to them?
The first thing I say was congratulations for watching. Second thing, stop being the poverty pimp. Stop making your money off the suffering and dying and drug induced of your own people. You've had enough. Maxine Mercury Waters out of California has been making money off the backs of black people. Democrats love chaos. They get paid to manage the chaos. Every time you got a problem, you got a government program, and they get paid to manage the program, not to end the program or solve the solution. They get paid over your misery. In America, it's not just black folks. They don't care what color you are. It's not racism. It's herding your family into a herd and managing them and getting paid for your misery. You're tired of being miserable, vote Republican.
So you said something the other day about the grants, like grant money from the federal government and to throw it at crime. And they would rather that instead of have like the National Guard out there. Why would they, obviously, why did you say they want the money? What do they do with it?
They put it in their pocket, line their friends, and bribe the officials. If the grant money worked, you would have no more crime. And everybody gets paid for the crime. The cop get paid, the judge get paid, the bailiff get paid, the prisoners get paid, those who service them get paid, and then your family now goes on aid for women with dependent children. Your family goes on welfare, and you got people in the government paying for that. They're working in those fields, and they live off of your misery. Folks, gotta understand. Think about it. There is nothing. You cannot name one thing the Democratic Party has done for black people or poor people. Not one thing has worked except for them. Their job is to lie to you and lie with you and take all your money. And we're tired of it. Under Trump, the black community became 72% middle class. That's a shift. All of a sudden, the dude next door is trying to put his kids in college. He's thinking about a business now for his family. He's thinking about and now he sees all the obstacles on you being successful. All the obstacles you got to jump through. And we see it now. We're joining the Republican Party because we see the obstacles have to be handled by Republicans. So, and they hate the rich. It's amazing. They hate the billionaires. Folks, there is not one thing a billionaire does with his money that does not create jobs. Not one thing. If you hate the rich, you hate jobs. You hate employment. You hate research. You hate development. You hate colleges. They built the colleges. No poor person put that name on a building in the college. Poor people have to understand. Stop playing the game and start winning the game.
You know, you said the other day, or actually I saw that J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, he actually said, and I'm paraphrasing, but I know the content is true. He said, I'll take your federal tax dollars, but I don't want the National Guard here. So that really lines up with your point, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. They make their crop. Liberals' crop is misery and slavery and dependency and drugs. That's their crop. They get a drug program. They get a teen pregnancy program. They get a program grant for schools, and they get paid. Everyone gets a handout and to pay for this. They get paid for misery. They're the party, and always have been, the party of misery. Never success. Never.
If you're just joining us now, this is Mason Weaver, as we're about 5 minutes away from going to the White House there for President Trump's executive order signing, his 200th executive order signing. Wow. And then also an announcement. As soon as we see that live feed, of course, we'll take you there. Mason, can you tell us about why you love the United States of America and why you love freedom so much?
Well, first, because I love freedom, I love the Freedom Nation. And we have contributed to every economical success, every political, every spiritual development of this country we were involved in. This is my country, paid for by blood and tears and sweat and misery. We fought through it. We got through it all together, white folks and black folks, and we have made the only country on the planet where we are equally free to participate. I love that because I'm a competitor, and I will not allow someone else to make my country my enemy. Now, if I succeed, it's my success. If I fail, it's my fault. We got to stop depending. Everybody got to strive for the best, and nobody's going to take care of your kids better than you are. I had a debate with a school teacher with my child years ago. She said, I love my children. I love my children. No, ma'am, you love your children. You will not raise your child, you will not raise my child to work for your child. No parent would. You will raise my child to work for yours because you want your child to be dominant. And I want mine to be the same thing. That's why I'm pulling my kids out of these public schools and homeschooling them so they can compete adequately with your child.
I want to ask you a question, a little bit more of a deeper dive here when it comes to what the left-wing media wants to really, oh, there you go. I see it. Nice cup there, by the way. Nice cup. And if you guys want to see Mason again, go ahead and go to @MatthewAlvarez on Truth Social. That's the video that we played. We also played it here on Right Side earlier. But let's talk about the North and the South and the whole thing with slavery and the wounds from the past and you know, people that like myself, like I wasn't part of what happened back in the day. So what would you like to say to help heal the nation a little bit? Because this kind of topic won't ever be discussed on the mainstream media.
Pull the scab off first. You want to heal the country, pull the scab away. But slavery was a Democrat-centered idea. They controlled slavery. They brought the misery in. And Republicans, their brothers, saw what they were doing and thought so grossly of it, they took up arms to march south. Not a civil war. They weren't fighting for money or for land or for power. They were fighting for a spiritual problem on that slave plantation. It was a spiritual movement. They went into battle singing, "My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." And it was Minister John Brown and Reverend Beecher Stoll, and it was these people who took the slaves and they came out of slavery praising God. You look at history, you never see a nation go into captivity while they're worshiping God. And you will never see one go out of captivity until they start worshiping God. America became a Christian nation because Christian founders founded it. We became a free nation because Christian Republicans ended slavery. And now today, we're not going to be free again until we start taking up the burden of Christ and worship him and ignore all the nonsense about what sex you are and what you're going to be today. Your pronouns. Mine is God Almighty. That's my pronoun, by the way.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I mean, definitely. You know, I could let you go on for hours here, Mason, because this is, again, I've worked in mainstream media in local news. I gained a lot of experience in that, and that's great. But it's great to be able to speak like this and to speak freely live right now in front of the country to those of you watching all across this land, every time zone, some around the world. And we can say we have our faith in God, our faith in Jesus. If you have a different faith, I mean, at the end of the day, we're looking for freedom, though, aren't we, Mason? To keep the Constitution, the law of the land moving forward, right?
Freedom always leads to the same thing. Freedom always leads to righteousness and success. Freedom always does that. And if you look at Democrats, folks, one chance we leave here, Republicans has founded every black college. Democrats have gave us KKK. What you gonna do? Let them apologize. If they're tired of it, let them apologize. But Democrats always give us misery. Every riot, every place you saw a black man shot by a cop in a riot, the Democrat district. Every single one. It's time to sit back and say, what's happening? They're the party of misery. They're the party of success.
Exactly. And what's left of the Democrat Party? It seems like everybody's kind of like, well, the majority of the country voted for President Trump for 3 straight elections.
Yes, sir.
So the midterms, yes, we definitely have to go hard there in the sense of pray hard, work hard, vote, get out there.
We have to.
And finally, I just wanted to, on a lighter note, President Trump on Truth Social said the other day something along the lines of would be the first time ever where there would be a national convention for the midterms prior to the midterms. And I was thinking, what cities would be good to have that in? And I'm thinking Southwest Florida, Tampa Bay, where the Lightning play hockey. Why not have it right there in Tampa Bay, right? What do you think?
That is an excellent idea. That's a perfect idea. What a great place for it, because also Florida is the place of sunshine, which is light. And it's a place that we can gather, all cultures come together. We don't care about who you are, where you are. And we came here to get to freedom. We came here for freedom. We're a freedom-loving custom. We have a custom here of seeking freedom and the truth. My neighbor and I have so much different in our culture. We can't speak the same language hardly, but we know we can depend on each other because we're both free.
So that's the thing, Mason. What you just spoke there, I think resonates. It resonates with me. It resonates with people across this country. You just said culturally there's differences, but the key and the foundation is freedom for the people. And that, you know, if you're watching earlier, Ricardo Martins was on. He's from Brazil, knows Jair Bolsonaro, the former president there. They're going to have this huge Independence Day parade and event protest on the 7th of September because it's Independence Day there. They want freedom. We want freedom. Freedom. You know what I mean?
Yes. Freedom is a verb, something you are doing, something you're watching for, something you're looking out for. It's a child. It's a baby. If you don't raise it right, it will not grow up right. If you want to be strong, you have to nurture it yourself, guard it like a parent. You have to guard it, nurture it, feed it, produce it, and send it out here in the world. We want to be free. And the whole world, by the way, is free because we're free. The entire planet is free because we want to give our lives for unknown folks in Europe, unknown folks around the world. We want to give our life because we know it's so important to be free. You will never see the people of God come out of slavery until they stop and start worshiping God again. America, get back to it.
The Spirit of the Lord is, the Bible says, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And that's what we want and see throughout our country.
That's the only way you get freedom. That is the only freedom you get. I was cured I had a racist white guy on the ship, looked me in the eye and pushed 2,800 pounds of steel on me, trying to kill me. Knocked me into a steel wall, broke every bone on my left side of my body. Both hips were crushed, pelvis was crushed. And I looked at him when he did it. I saw the look on his face, and I screamed in pain. I opened my eyes up and saw his face. That face fueled my racial hatred for years, for over a decade. Here's a shipmate of mine who went to Vietnam with me, trying to kill me because of a difference on our racial issues. And I carried that hatred for years. I couldn't walk. I had to go to Berkeley in pain and medications. I hated everybody that looked like him. You and I could not have this conversation 35, 40 years ago. Until one day, I'm studying the scripture. I'm hearing everybody talk about my God. And I studied, I found out something. The only power I had against him, the only power I had to recover from him was to forgive him. And I forgave him, and I got out of my car and I walked to the gas station. The first time in 10 years, I left my cane in the car. I was healed instantly. The pain was gone instantly because that was dragging me through life. The real disability was me hating this guy so much. America, I don't care who did you wrong. I don't care if you was a crackhead or your mother broke heads. Forgive and move on. You have to forgive. You cannot take that with you. It will drag you down.
Mason Weaver, where can people find you, whether it's social media or websites, that kind of thing?
I'm easy to give money to. Mason Weaver at masonweaver.com. I'm a capitalist. I say my websites are leavetheplantation.org. Find me on Facebook on the same title, and Truth Social. We also have Revelation Gospel Ministries, my ministry, and Jesus Caucus is my nonprofit in case you folks want to donate so I can get this movie out and we're going to change America. But I'll tell you, man, you're my hero. I'll watch you more than anybody else out here because there's something about your heart. It's there, it's real, it shows up on camera, and I seek those kind of people out because we got to build our common core army. We got to have people in our life that we depend on, that can depend on us. And if we do that, it is never kept void by God. He will acknowledge that and reward that. Faith is a verb, not a noun, something you're doing in spite of what you see. Let's go take this country back, and God bless Donald Trump.
In Jesus' name. Mason, thank you so much for your kind words. Right back at you, man. Thanks for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's have you on the broadcast again. There's never a bad time to bring on everyone that's talking about truth into darkness, light into darkness, and you just mic dropped left and right there. So thank you again, Mason. Tell everybody in Punta Gorda I said hello. Great to be able to play that video from earlier when it comes to that coffee shop. So Mason, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
You're a hero, man. God bless you, buddy.
You too, man. Thank you. So that's the thing that is awesome about being able to have the opportunity to, speak like this on camera, right? To be able to do something for good or for freedom or for God, family, country. And so for years I was in mainstream media, right? Couldn't talk like this ever. But now the opportunity, just celebrated 3 years here at Right Side on September 3rd. Covering all those rallies. I remember what it's like every time we're out there together, all of us that have been at those rallies. I will not ever forget that. I know President Trump won't ever forget it when it comes to all of the rallies out there. And hopefully there'll be more rallies. I think there will be with the midterms, maybe tele-rallies, maybe in-person rallies, that kind of thing. But really, again, it's all about we the people. It's all about our country, all about our freedom, God, family, country. And, none of this is on a teleprompter that I'm reading right now. I'm just speaking from the heart. And that's what we like about President Trump, because he's able to resonate with the people. I don't need a fake news script to read to you that President Trump is a dictator and good evening, welcome to the news, all that crap on the left. This is time to win. It's time to win, and that's what we're doing here at Right Side and in conservative media, and we love covering President Trump. Let's go to a few sponsors as we have a few more videos to play for you. We're waiting for President Trump there live at the White House. Looking forward to that. But in the meantime, monetary gold, the BRICS alliance is growing, and their goal is simple: destroy the dollar's power. So those countries like Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now more nations are lining up to join. They're building a new digital currency, a currency they'll use instead of the dollar. That means rogue nations could trade without fear of U.S. sanctions. And when the world stops using dollars, your savings lose value overnight. So the option you have is to reach out to Monetary Gold, 888-617-7994 or RSBN4thegold.com. You also have that other 800 number right there. You can call immediately, as you say, to discover how you can eliminate your IRA fees permanently. Let's go to callsheet.com/RSBN as well. If you're looking to bet, trade, or just check out polls out there, science, technology, history, sports, weather, whatever you're looking to talk about there, you can check it out at callsheet.com. More than 1 million users on that great site. You can download the app as well. Always interesting to see what people are saying and what they're voting on and betting on callsheet.com, one of our great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is 4:08 Eastern Time. Let's go to a video that we played earlier, and I think since we have a decent amount of people watching, thank God that you guys are watching, right? We've had numbers in the millions over the past few weeks. And over the past several years as well. I mean, you look at the inauguration numbers, more than 6 million people watching all across social media platforms. Also on the, election night, November 5th, 2024. Remember what that was like when we were in studio? We're in Studio B right now as Studio A is getting renovated. And Robert McNeely was there with me and Christina Loren. And we were talking about when Pennsylvania went to President Trump and Georgia went to President Trump and all of that, won in a landslide like he has won the past 3 elections. To do what? To win for our country, to save our nation, to have those 20 core promises as the way it is for our country, to restore our land, and to have the Reformation stick with it here in this country, meaning the people that have done wrong when it comes to the Russia hoax, to have people held accountable. If there's receipts and there's evidence of law breaking, to take care of the deep state and the globalists. This is what President Trump promised us on the campaign trail as well. On top of sealing the border, on top of gas prices, on top of law and order. It's a time to let the joy of the Lord be our strength once again in the country. I know that I need it every day. But all I know is this, that we love you guys. Thank you so much for streaming in right now here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to a couple videos here. Let's pick one out at this point because we're waiting now for President Trump. How about we do this? Director, if we can keep the split screen up, if we do see any kind of feed to the White House, but RFK Jr., talk about someone that was standing tall for the American people yesterday. We pulled some clips from yesterday, a lot of fireworks there on Capitol Hill. I believe that is clip 3, Director. Let's go to RFK Jr., standing for the American people.
Finally, I would like to address the recent shakeups at CDC. These changes were absolutely necessary adjustments to restore the agency to its role as the world's gold standard public health agency with the central mission of protecting Americans from infectious disease. CDC failed that responsibility miserably during COVID, when its disastrous and nonsensical policies destroyed small businesses, violated civil liberties, closed our schools, caused generational damage in doing so, masked infants with no science, and heightened economic inequality. And yet all those oppressive and unscientific interventions failed to do anything about the disease itself. America is home to 4.2% of the world's population, yet we had nearly 20% of the COVID deaths. We literally did worse than any country in the world. And the people at CDC who oversaw that process, who put masks on our children, who closed our schools, are the people who will be leaving. And that's why we need bold, competent, and creative new leadership at CDC. People able and willing to chart a new course. As my father once said, progress is a nice word, but change is its motivator. And change has its enemies. That's why we need new blood at CDC. That's also why it's imperative that we remove officials with conflicts of interest and catastrophically bad judgment and political agendas. We need unbiased, politics-free, transparent, evidence-based science in the public interest. Those are the guiding principles behind the changes at the CDC, and that is what you can expect all across our agency for the next 3 years.
You're saying the Biden administration politicized all the data? Go back to what Senator Cantwell just said.
Fired Dr.
Go to the Trump Surgeon General.
They fired Dr. Kraut. They fired all the people who questioned the orthodoxy. They fired Dr. Gruber, Dr. Kraus.
So, Mr. Chairman, the Secretary of Health.
I think it's critical for you to share the evidence that this panel will rely on. Will you give the American people 6 months or 6 weeks in advance the record that they're going to rely on to make these decisions? Will you make it transparent for the American people?
All the evidence is transparent.
Will you make it in advance transparent for the American people so they can comment on it?
All the evidence is transparent for the first time in history, and you were never there complaining when the pharmaceutical companies were picking those people and then running their products through with no safety testing.
You can characterize it any way you want. I quoted them today. What I said was accurate. What you said were lies. You described
Senator,
moving the Titanic.
Are you saying that the mRNA vaccine has never been associated with myocarditis or pericarditis in teenagers?
I am simply.
Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I am simply trying to say that the people that you have put on that panel after firing.
Thank you very much. We'll start by signing 3 very important bills. And Will, would you discuss them, please?
Yes, sir. This is H.R. 2808. This is the Home Buyers Privacy Protection Act. The congressman here was the lead sponsor, so I think maybe he
John Rouse, yes.
Say more about it than I can.
Please.
Well, it's difficult for Americans to buy a home, particularly after the last 4 years, sir. But with the president's signature today, we're going to make it easy for people to buy a home without getting hassled. For years, their private personal information has been bought and sold in the open market, resulting in them getting innumerable phone calls and text messages. But with your signature today, we're going to put an end to that so that when Americans try to realize the American dream of owning a home, they're able to do so without being harassed.
Good job. Good. It's a great honor, John. Okay, there it is. And that's going to help a lot of the homeowners of our great country. John, want to hold that?
Sure.
Thank you, John, very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, Will, you go ahead.
And I'd like to leave you with this gift from a constituent back in Tennessee.
Oh, I could use that at night.
It's an American flag.
That's very nice. I like that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. That's very nice.
Next, we have a number of executive orders for your attention, sir.
Okay.
From 1789 until 1947, our nation won some of its greatest military victories under the direction of a Secretary of War operating within a Department of War. Today, with this executive order, you will authorize the current Secretary of Defense and the current Department of Defense to once again embrace this great lineage and once again be named the Secretary of War and the Department of War.
So this is something we thought long and hard about. We've been talking about it for months, Pete and I, and Dan. Dan came into the fold. By the way, a great general. He headed up the, I wouldn't call it an attack. I'd almost call that one maybe even more than an attack. What he did with Iran, you saw the success of that operation. It was perfect. In fact, this was sent to me by the great company that makes that particular B-2 bomber, and it was flawless. It was actually flawless. They flew for 37 hours back and forth, and there wasn't a bolt that was out of condition. There wasn't an engine failure. There was no problem. It was a perfect attack, and it knocked out any possible nuclear capability for Iran, which nobody wanted to see, and we weren't going to put up with. So great job, Dan. And we've been talking about this Department of War. So we won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything before that and in between. And then we decided to go woke, and we changed the name to Department of Defense. So we're going Department of War. And I'd like to ask our Secretary of War to say a few words. Pete Hegseth. I think it's a much more appropriate name, especially in light of where the world is right now. We have the strongest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We have the greatest manufacturers of equipment by far. There's nobody to even compete. And you see that with this and so many other things. The Patriots are the best. Every element of the military, we make the best by far. So, Pete, I'd like to ask you and maybe Dan Raisin Kane to say a few words, please.
Mr. President, thank you. After winning a war for independence in 1789, George Washington established the War Department, and Henry Knox was his first Secretary of War. And this country won every major war after that, to include World War I and World War II. Total victory, Mr. President, as you said. Then 150 years after that, we changed the name after World War II from the Department of War to the Department of Defense in 1947. And as you pointed out, Mr. President, we haven't won a major war since, and that's not to disparage our warfighters, whether it's the Korean War, or the Vietnam War, or our generation of Iraq and Afghanistan. That's to recognize that this name change is not just about renaming, it's about restoring. Words matter. It's restoring, as you've guided us to, Mr. President, restoring the warrior ethos, restoring victory and clarity as an end state, restoring intentionality to the use of force. So at your direction, Mr. President, the War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. It's going to fight to win, not to lose. We're going to go on offense, not just on defense. Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct. We're going to raise up warriors, not just defenders. So this War Department, Mr. President, just like America, is back. Thank you for your leadership and your clarity. We're going to set the tone for this country. America first, peace through strength, brought to you by the War Department. We're back.
All right, thank you very much. Very well stated, and really it has to do with winning. We should have won every war. We could have won every war, but we really chose to be very politically correct or wokey, and we just fight forever. And then we'd, win, lose. We wouldn't lose, really. We just fight to sort of tie. We never wanted to win. Wars that every one of them we would have won easily with just a couple of little changes or a couple of little edicts. I was told that ISIS would take 5 years to win. And Dan Kane, when I told him how long would it take, he said, I think about 4 weeks, sir. I said, what do you mean 4 weeks? I was told 5 years by the people in Washington. You know who they were? 5 years. I said, you can't do it in 4 weeks. I actually flew to Iraq to meet with him, and I met him at a big air base. And remember that famous day, right? It turned out to be a famous day for our country because you're now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is the biggest deal. And he is because he did things that everybody said he couldn't do. So they said it was going to be 5 years, and he knocked them out in about 4 weeks total, 100%. We took over, and ISIS was gone, and pretty amazing. But we never fought to win, and now if we have to fight at all, we solved 7 wars. We have the one that I thought was going to be probably one of the easier ones, and that's with President Putin and Ukraine. And that turned out to be one that's a little bit more difficult, but the 7 are done. They were supposed to be much more difficult to solve. I solved every one of them, and we're going to get the other one done too. But it turned out to be a little bit more difficult than I thought. And it'll get done or they'll be held to pay. But because they're losing 6 to 7, it used to be 5. I used to tell you 5. Now it's almost 7. I guess 7,000 people last week. 7,813 people, young soldiers, died. Russian and Ukrainian, not American soldiers. But it's a shame. And it's just, they're human lives, and I want to see it stop. But General Kane's done a fantastic job. And again, defeated ISIS, which they said would take a long time, and it didn't take a long time at all, and did other things that people said really couldn't happen. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We have the greatest soldiers in the world. Dan, say a few words, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. It's a true honor for me today to represent the incredible men and women of America's joint force. Today and every day, the 2.8 million service men and women stand ready to fulfill our sacred duty to protect America at home and abroad. As the President said, America's military is the single most powerful fighting force in the world. The mission you and the Secretary have given us is clear and unambiguous to deliver peace through overwhelming strength. And I remind everyone that the U.S. military can reach any adversary at the time and place of our choosing. Service to this nation is an incredible gift, and we're grateful and honored every day to do so. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, and it's an honor to sign this. And we will do that right now. I think that's a big one, I'll be honest. That's a big one.
It's a big one, Mr. President.
Do you have any questions on this subject? We're going to be discussing the G20 in a couple of minutes, but yes, please. No, right there.
What gave you the idea for this rebrand? And a question for you, the newly minted Secretary of War. What message does this send to our enemies, to our allies, to the American people? And again, what gave you the idea for this rebrand at this moment?
I think it sends a message of victory. I think it sends really a message of strength. We're very strong. We're much stronger than anyone would really understand. And again, you know, having the great equipment, we have just so much better. You look at all of the, just any of it, submarines as an example. We're 20 years ahead of anyone else. Nobody even compares. And I let a lot of this happen in my first term. You know, we totally rebuilt our military. And then, of course, you had that catastrophe in Afghanistan where they gave up a lot of the equipment, but a relatively small amount, but a lot. It was a lot in Afghanistan. I think it was the most, General, I'd say it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, the way that happened, the way they went to the wrong airport. They should have gone to Bagram, not the local little airport with no security, with tight quarters, etc. You know what happened. I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, frankly. That was under the Biden administration. That was terrible. And we were going to be leaving, but we were leaving with strength and dignity. We were going to keep Bagram because Bagram's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We're going to have that all to ourselves, a big, beautiful place built many years ago for money that today would be the equivalent of, you know, many, many billions of dollars. You couldn't build it. The longest runways, the most powerful runways in terms of load capacity. And we just walked away from it. So stupid. And they were fools. The people were fools. No, we have the strongest military, and I think that indicates we have the strongest military. And, you know, we had it, and we won World War I, we won World War II, we won everything before, and as I said, we won everything in between. And we were very strong, but we never fought to win. We just didn't fight to win. We didn't lose anything, but we didn't fight to win. We could have won every one of those wars quickly, but they went a route that I think was probably politically correct, but not correct for our nation. So I think the Department of War sends a signal. Yeah, please.
You alluded to this a little while ago, but you said that this rename is quote, a good reflection of where the world is at right now. How do you square naming it the Department of War when you've been pursuing peace in so many different parts of the world?
Well, I think I've gotten peace because of the fact that we're strong. If we weren't strong, those 7 deals I told you about, the 7 wars, a majority of them wouldn't have happened. They happened for 2 reasons, trade and our strength. Those are the 2 reasons. And probably strength may be more important than trade. So if I was very proud of all those wars. Those were wars that could not be settled, and I settled all of them. And we'll get the other one settled also. That'll get settled. But without the strength, we wouldn't have settled any of them. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, is it your expectation that Congress will codify this name change in the law?
I don't know, but we're going to find out, but I'm not sure they have to. We're signing an executive order today, but we're going to find out. We're going to see. If they do, we're going with it, and we're going with it very strongly. There's a question as to whether or not they have to, but we'll put it before Congress.
Do you know how much this rebrand will actually cost? And are there any concerns about, the Pentagon's mission of actually cutting back on spending?
Yeah, but not a lot. We know how to rebrand without having to go crazy. We don't have to recarve a mountain or anything. We're going to be doing it not in the most expensive. We're going to start changing the stationery as it comes due and lots of things like that. We're not going to be doing things like have been done in the past when they changed the name of forts that shouldn't have been changed. Those names of the forts should not have been changed, at least for the most part. And as you know, many of them have been changed back already. At the request of the communities, every one of those communities said, we want our name back, like Fort Bragg as an example. The people in that community wanted that name back. They refused to call it anything else but Fort Bragg. So we're not going to be spending very much money on that. Yes,
sir. When you spoke with the Europeans and Zelensky earlier this week, did you preview this for them, and did you say what security guarantees they might be involved in?
This is nothing to do with anybody but the United States of America, the people of America. This is who I talked to about changing a name. This is a very important change because it's an attitude, and we know how to win. We've been winning, and we're going to win like you've never seen. Wait till these factories start to open up that are being built all over the country. You're going to see things happen in this country that nobody expects. We have over $17 trillion in investment coming into the country. We never did anything even remotely close to that. No other country has either, by the way. So you're going to see things that are pretty amazing. But it's really about winning.
And what about the security guarantees aspect of that with Ukraine, sir?
Well, we'll work that out. We'll help them. Look, we want to save a lot of lives, so we'll do something with that. I think people expect that. We'll help them. Europe will be first in by far, and they want to be first, and they want to see it end. Europe wants to see it end, and it'll end. It'll end all of a sudden. It's going to come together. You watch. Did you want something right? Right here. Yeah, behind you, please. Yes.
Yes, sir. You haven't been shy about taking bold, decisive, offensive action to protect American values. Strikes in Iran, the strikes this past Tuesday on the positively ID'd Tren de Aragua narco terrorists. Is that going to be a critical function of the Department of War moving forward?
It depends on the individual instance. We don't want drugs coming in from Venezuela or anybody else or any place else, and we'll be tough on that. We don't want human trafficking. We don't want to see people coming in where they open their prisons from all over the world and they dump their prisoners into our country, which is what they did in the Biden administration, where they took insane asylums and places that held people that were seriously mentally ill, mentally incompetent, mentally dangerous, and they dumped those people into our country, and we're trying to get them out now. What they've done, what the Democrats and Biden have done to this country will go down in infamy. What they have done to our country, and especially that. They created the worst inflation we've ever had. That's nothing compared to what they did with the people in our country right now. And we're getting them out, and it's not easy when you have the liberal judges destroying our country. But we've won them all. We've won it all, ultimately won it all. Hard process. It should be easier. We know who it is. We know exactly who we're looking for. We had 11,000 murderers dropped into our country. We've gotten a lot of them out. Or in some cases, they're so dangerous, we were afraid to get them out because they'd come back in. But for the last 120 days, 0 people came in. Can you imagine? This is me speaking, but these are figures developed by, they say, a pretty liberal group of people. They admit that 0 people came into our country. Think of that. A year ago, it was millions of people were coming in. Millions. They were coming in. You could look at them and you could say, big trouble. And that's what we have in our country. But we're getting them out, and despite that, we're doing really well. Yeah, please, Brian.
Comment on the recruitment levels across the
yeah. Well, the recruitment's the most exciting thing. So when I was campaigning for the office, numbers were coming out that the recruitment numbers, generally, you could speak to it better than anybody, the recruitment into the military, all branches of the military, and police and firemen and everything else. Anything having to do with like a public service, the numbers were horrible, record-setting bad. And now they're record-setting good. We're setting every record every month for recruitment. We're packed in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. My beautiful I love Space Command. I see Space Command, but Space Force has been, we've got a waiting list of people wanting to go in. A year ago, especially a year and a half ago, you know, when I took the lead in the polls, which was very early, it really helped with the recruiting. And when I won from November 5th on, it's been amazing. And over the last 4 or 5 months, we're just packed. It was very hard to get police officers. Now the departments are loaded up. Everyone wants to be a policeman or woman. So it's been a great thing. General, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. As you said, serving our nation is an incredible gift that we give, and the reward on that gift pays back exponentially year over year. And I think the young people of America are seeing the importance of service, and whether it's in any of our armed services or in local police, fire, or rescue, service is an important thing that I personally encourage, and I know everyone else in government service sees that same reward.
And Pete, on recruitment?
Yes, I was down at Fort Benning, the newly properly renamed Fort Benning, yesterday, watching Army basic training, and they're so full they can't barely handle the throughput. It is truly historic across all the services, as you said. It's been a surge into I was going to say the Defense Department, but I will say the War Department, and that you might almost call it a vibe shift. An attitude shift, a feeling that the country is back, that service is back. And there were military families last year, Mr. President, that said, I don't know if I can recommend, I wrote a book on this. I don't know if I can recommend service to my son or daughter, given what's been done to our military. You heard it over and over and over again. And I hear from those same military families right now, sir, and they're saying, I recommend to my kids that they go into this department, this Pentagon, under this commander-in-chief, who they know you'll have their back, and they want to serve. So it is historic, and it's the biggest reflection of how motivated Americans are by your leadership, sir.
You know, really, it's nothing more than spirit, love for the country. I guess the esprit de corps, as they say, you have more of that than we've had maybe ever, frankly. But to see a turn over a period of less than a year, I would say, but to see a turn, nobody wanted to go into the military. Now everybody wants to go into the military. Jennifer, you wanted?
Yeah, there's some new reporting on North Korea and this Navy SEAL incident in 2019. Can you say if the administration has engaged with North Korea on that incident since it happened recently?
Yeah.
And then can you share some recollections?
I don't know anything about it, no. I could look, but I know nothing about it.
Can you confirm that it happened?
I don't know anything about it. I'm hearing it now for the first time.
Okay, great. And then on the Hyundai incident in Georgia with the arrest of some workers, construction workers at the plant, have you heard any feedback from Hyundai?
I just heard about that a little while before the news conference, and I would say that they were illegal aliens, and ICE was just doing its job. But I know nothing about the instance. It happened a little while ago. Okay.
There has been some pushback on that, though, from South Korea already, and of course, they pledged to invest $150 billion in the U.S. when they were just here, last week. Are you concerned?
Well, and they have the right to sell cars and things in our country. It's not like a one-sided deal.
Are you concerned at all about, your immigration agenda potentially clashing with these economic goals?
Well, we want to get along with other countries, and we want to have a great, stable workforce. And we had, as I understand it, a lot of illegal aliens, some not the best of people, but we had a lot of illegal aliens working there. So, look, they're doing their job. That's what they have to do. These are people that came through with Biden. They came through illegally. They came into our country. So we have to do our job.
Mr. President, the now Department of War has been involved in the crime cleanup in D.C. You've tasked Congress with proposing and passing a crime bill. What are some things that you would really like to see codified in that crime bill?
Well, I think one of the things is the cashless bail. It's killing it. When that came out, the first time, that's when you saw the real big crime start to happen. Cashless bail, what a disaster that is. You murder somebody, you don't have to put up bail, and you go out in the street and you murder somebody else. That's what's happened. It happens so often. And that's one of the things. And other of the things you're reading about, is just standard, but just a certain toughness. I have to say, one of the elements of fascination for people over the last period of time has been what's happened to D.C. So we've gone from one of the most dangerous cities in our country to what they call a safe city. It's a totally safe city. In fact, I set up dinner in Washington, D.C. next week. I wouldn't have done that, to be honest. I would have had an obligation not to do it before I came into office, or even at the very beginning when things were so corrupt and so dangerous out on the streets. So Washington, D.C. has had virtually no crime. We even have a mayor that's admitting to it, and she's a liberal Democrat, in all fairness. She's a person that hasn't gotten exactly along with Republicans over the years. And she said she's never seen anything like it. So Washington, D.C. is a totally safe city. We have virtually no crime. It's gone from the most unsafe city in the United States, almost, just about, to one of the safest cities, maybe the safest city in the United States. That's a tremendous compliment to our military, what we did. The National Guard's done a fantastic job. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can I ask about Florida real quick? Florida House Speaker Daniel Perez was at the White House yesterday as part of a leadership summit.
Yes.
And we understand you met with him separately. Mr. President, what did you talk about? And also, did you explore him running for Florida Attorney General?
I didn't. We didn't talk about that, but he's done a fantastic job. He's respected all over the country, really. He's a leader, and he's done just a fantastic job. We didn't discuss anything having to do with his future. I'm sure he'd be very good at that.
My second question, Alligator Alcatraz, sticking with Florida, a major ruling appeals court blocked a federal judge's order to close it, and it can remain open for now. Your reaction?
I think they've done a fantastic job in building it, the governor and everybody else that's been involved. It's an incredible facility. It's housing people for usually a very short period of time before they get brought back to their countries. As you know, we focus on criminals before we focus on anybody else, and we're taking thousands and thousands of criminals out every month out of our country, some of them murderers. And I think Florida's done a great job by building it, and whether it's Alligator Alcatraz or anything else you want to call it, I was there. I visited with the governor, with other people. I guess Nikki was there. Tom Homan's been there a lot. A lot of people have been there. It's an amazing facility for what it is. It's not a hotel. It's not supposed to be a hotel, but they've done a great job with it. And I'm very happy with the judge's decision.
You also mentioned Venezuela. I want to ask one more follow-up question on that. On the U.S. strike on a vote tied to the Venezuelan drug cartel, the Maduro regime is pushing back today. In fact, they say the U.S. seeks regime change through military threat. Your reaction to those words, and also, would you like to see regime change in Venezuela?
Well, we're not talking about that, but we are talking about the fact that you had an election which was a very strange election, to put it mildly. I'm being very nice when I say that. I can only say that billions of dollars of drugs are pouring into our country from Venezuela. The prisons of Venezuela have been opened up to our country. They've taken their prisoners, the worst prisoners, murderers, Tren de Aragua. The worst prisoners that you can ever imagine are now happily living in the United States of America. Now, many of them we've gotten out. It's not easy to get them out because of the liberal system that we're working with in many cases, not in all cases. But millions and millions of dollars and billions of dollars of drugs are pouring out of Venezuela and other countries. Look, China, what they're doing with fentanyl is a terrible thing. It comes through Canada and it comes through Mexico, but a lot of it's coming through Venezuela. Venezuela's been a very bad actor, and we understand that. And when you look at that boat, you see the bags of whatever it is there. Those bags you know what those bags represent? Hundreds of thousands of dead people in the United States. That's what they represent. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, your reaction to the jobs report this morning?
Well, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. We have our great people here, so I'll talk that in a minute. Let's talk about this. We'll give a couple of because these two people want to get to work on the Department of War. So let's keep them first.
Mr. President, the DOJ is reportedly considering a ban on transgender people owning guns after the Minneapolis shooting. Do you think they should?
Are we talking in the military?
In general.
Okay, I thought you were talking about in the military. I'll refer to that then differently. Because it's not a military question, I'll be able to pass on that very nicely unless you'd like to talk about it. No, Pete doesn't want any part of that question. Yes, please.
Mr. President, who do you blame for losing India to China? In your post earlier today in the morning, you did put that out.
I don't think we have. I've been very disappointed that India would be buying so much oil, as you know, from Russia. And I let them know that. We put a very big tariff on India, 50% tariff, very high tariff. I get along very well with Modi, as you know. He's great. He was here a couple of months ago. In fact, we went to the Rose Garden, and the grass was so soaking wet. It was such a terrible place to have a news conference. I said, well, let's use a beautiful white stone emblematic of the White House, okay? And it's been very well received. But we had a news conference on the grass. It was my last news conference I had on the grass because everybody sunk in. You probably sunk in. Every reporter out there, they ruined their shoes. We made that change. It's been a really well-received change. Yeah, please, go ahead.
On Venezuela, you've sent F-35s down to Puerto Rico. You've sent naval vessels into the Caribbean. You're concerned about drugs being illegally sent into the
Yeah.
How do you describe this buildup, this situation?
Well, I just think it's strong. We're strong on drugs. We don't want drugs killing our people. I believe we lost 300,000. You know, they always say 95, 100,000. I believe they've been saying that for 20 years. I believe we lost 300,000 people last year. I know families that lost their son. Those families will never be the same. I know a family lost a daughter, a beautiful daughter. In fact, it was like she took something that she thought was like a minor deal, and it turned out to be riddled out with fentanyl. The size of the head of a pin, and you're dead. And no, we're stopping the drugs. We're going to save a lot of people. Look, whether it's 100,000, but it's not. It's 350,000 people died last year from drugs. And we're not going to let that happen to this country. Think of that. Think if you're in a war and you lose 300,000. We'll lose 600,000 in the, pretty much between Gettysburg and all of that, the Civil War, we lost, 600,000. So we're losing half of that every year to drugs. We're not going to do it. We're not going to allow it to happen. You think of the wars. If we lost 600,000 people in a war, but we lose that every 2 years, more than that. So it's 300 to 350,000 people. And when I see boats coming in, like loaded up the other day with all sorts of drugs, probably fentanyl mostly, but all sorts of drugs, and we're going to take them out. And if people want to have fun going on the high seas or the low seas, they're going to be in trouble. I will tell you, boat traffic is substantially down in the area that happened. They called it the runway. It's a runway to the United States. And boat traffic is very substantially down on the runway. You can imagine why. I think anybody that saw that is going to say, I'll take a pass. I don't even know about fishermen. They may say, I'm not getting on the boat. I'm not going to take a chance.
What happens if Venezuela flies jets over U.S. naval vessels again?
Well, I would say they're going to be in trouble. We'll let them know about that. We heard that happen, but it wasn't really over, not like they described. But I would say, General, if they do that, you have a choice of doing anything you want, okay? If they fly in a dangerous position, I would say that you can, you or your captains can make the decision as to what they want to do. All right? Sure.
Sir, how close did they get, Mr. President? You said they didn't go over.
Say it?
How close did they get? You said the planes did not.
Well, I don't want to talk about that. But if they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shut down. Thank you very much, everybody. So we're going to now cover the G20, and I'm going to let these people go back to the Department of War and figure out how to maintain peace. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Congratulations, General. Thank you very much. Great job.
Sir, just before G20, we do have one more EO for you today. And I should also say that the Department of War EO that you signed was actually your 200th EO since you came back into office on January 20th. That's more than Joe Biden did in his entire term in office, more than Obama did in either of his 2 terms in office. So it's a momentous accomplishment, and congratulations.
That's good. But Biden never signed one.
No. Yeah, you've done every one up in here.
They've been signed by the auto pen, right? Didn't he? So we really beat him by much more than you think.
The 201st executive order, sir, this relates to hostages and wrongfully detained Americans. This provides a new legal mechanism to declare foreign countries to be countries that engage in those sorts of practices and gives your administration powerful tools to get American hostages out. This has been a focus of your administration this time around. Adam Bowler's here, and he's done incredible work already. This will give him even more.
I think it's great, and Adam's amazing. So, Adam, do you want to describe how many hostages we've gotten out together, you and I, and you and a couple of other people that we know, and me and a couple of other people that you don't know, but we've gotten a lot of hostages. Do you want to describe it?
Mr. President, you brought back 72 hostages since your term. If we compare that to President Biden, he has gotten 20 taken. So he is negative 20 taken. 20 taken.
They don't take our people so often.
So, Mr. President, when we spoke, you said that that was a primary focus, and I'll tell you the job is easy because of you.
And we paid nothing, too.
We pay nothing.
They pay $6 billion. They always paid $6 billion for 5 people. $6 billion. It was just a number I kept hearing. Not only that, $6 billion plus we'd get like one person, and they'd get 6. They got one, the Prince of Doom, they called him. He was the #1 arms merchant anywhere in the world ever. And they got him out. And on top of that, we paid money. So, no, we don't do that. You know, once you pay money, and then a lot of people start disappearing. They start grabbing reporters, too. They think the reporter is going to get a lot of money. And to me, they would. You'll be well taken care of. I better stress that, because otherwise we have headlines. He said this or he said that. No, I'm not smiling about it. But they would. They'd be grabbing reporters. They'd be grabbing everybody. And especially when you pay the kind of money that Biden and Obama, they used to pay money that was crazy. We don't pay. And if you don't pay, they find it to be not a lucrative business anymore. That's fantastic. Would you like to say something?
Julia.
It's really Spihar, Special Envoy Bowler, it's Rick Grenell, it's Steve Witkoff, who brought Americans home. But with this EO you are signing today, you are drawing a line in the sand that U.S. citizens will not be used as bargaining chips, and it provides your Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, the same tool set to punish states who take our citizens wrongfully the same way that we can punish those who sponsor terrorists. This is a very significant EO you are signing today, sir.
Thank you, Sebastian. Very good. You're doing a great job, too.
And this is your director for hostage affairs at the NSC.
Yes, and I hear.
So Julia was seminal as well to all of this.
I heard you're doing unbelievable. Would you like to say something?
Absolutely. It's a outstanding EO, absolutely unprecedented action against those foreign adversaries who would take our people. They now know they are on notice. And it's not acceptable. And if you take our people now, you will pay.
You know, Adam gave up a job where he was making tremendous amounts of money, big stuff, top of the line Wall Street. And he wanted to do this. He wanted to do hostages. I offered him other jobs, too, very big jobs. He said, I was shocked, actually. He didn't want them. He wanted to do hostage negotiation. And pretty amazing. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you all. Do you have any questions for them on this very important subject?
I think it shows a lot of your leadership as far as fighting for Americans and fighting for humans. And to think that, Joe Biden went in negative territory.
Oh, he went way negative.
Way negative. And you're actually making progress on this. I think this does send a message to the world that we don't negotiate. We're going to stay strong in that type of what they call business.
Well, one little anecdote that may be of interest. We were told by numerous families who had missing loved ones during the Biden administration that this building, Biden's National Security Council, told those families not to talk about their missing loved ones, to be quiet, not to create any pressure on Biden and on Jake Sullivan, the key propagator of the Russia hoax. This administration has met with those families on a weekly basis.
Right.
People like Adam, yourself, sir, your envoys are doing everything to get every single American home. Not to tell them not to talk about their loved ones, but bring them home.
Well, you know, I can tell you one story that was amazing. A few weeks ago, very little written about it, but there should have been. But it was a very nice gesture. The head of Belarus, who's a very respected man, strong person, strong leader, he released 16 hostages. John Cole, a lawyer who works for me, great lawyer actually, one of the greatest lawyers. But John Cole was over there, and he heard that they had hostages. And you know about this. 16 people he released. And I just want to thank the head of Belarus. But while John was over there, they had, I believe, another 1,400 hostages. Now, not from us, from places all over the world. And just pretty tough place, in all fairness. But they had 1,400. And I believe they're going to be releasing a lot of those 1,400. They're not... I think very few, if any. We got pretty much ours back, and we didn't pay anything. But I very much gave my respects to the leader of the country. Was again, he's a very strong man, but he's got 1,400 or 1,500 or a large number, and we're talking about releasing them. Some are political, I guess. A lot of them are political. And looks like they're going to be released at some point in the pretty near future. So it's a great thing. They have to respect your country. If they respect you and they respect your country, they release it. If they don't, then you have to pay $6 billion. I mean, $6 billion. Can you imagine that, paying $6 billion?
Kind of related, but not really. But did you comment on Tina Peters, who's been locked up behind bars from Colorado defending the election? I think you put out a truth a couple days ago about it.
We have a wonderful woman who was an election official, and she saw cheating in Colorado, and she viewed it as horrible, and she said, "What's going on here?" And she went to the machine, and she tried to open to find out whether or not it was cheating, and they went to her, and they said, "Did you touch this machine?" "Yes." And they arrested her. They arrested her instead of the people that did the cheating. It's a state charge, so it's hard to do anything with, but we're gonna do something. What they did in Colorado, look, Colorado just went to all mail-in voting. That means they cheat. That's why they lost, that's one of the reasons, but that's a big reason why they just lost the whole Space Command situation that is going to Alabama. But when you have mail-in voting, you have nothing but cheating. But this woman is a real patriot, and they put her in jail for a long time. She's 72 years old, 73 years old, and she wanted to find out. She didn't do anything. She touched the machine. She looked at the machine. She's trying to find out what was going on, and they went and arrested her for doing that, and it was supposed to be the other way around. I'm glad you brought that up. They should let her go, let her out. Thank you. Yeah, please.
This is a limited subject that gets talked a lot about, Mr. President, but what about your team's strategy has made them so effective at getting a record amount of these hostages? Many of them have been forgotten about home.
I think they respect us. I think they respect us. They know we're not going to pay. Adam is a great negotiator. Steve Witkoff is a great negotiator. Seb is a great negotiator. They're all smart people. They're a little bit natural negotiators. Some people aren't good negotiators. Nothing you can do about it.
And they're afraid of you, sir.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. I hope so, or whatever.
We have the best.
I'd like to say respect, but whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I actually say whatever it takes. But we've gotten a lot of people out, and we'll continue. We don't have too many in. How many are you working on right now?
There's not a lot left.
A handful.
We got most of our people out. We got them mostly back.
Mr. President, do you have an update on the negotiations to release the rest of the hostages in Gaza?
We're in very deep negotiation with Hamas. We said, let them all out right now, let them all out, and much better things will happen for them. But if you don't let them all out, it's going to be a tough situation. It's going to be nasty. That's my opinion. Israel's choice, but that's my opinion. They got to let them out. You got 20, plus you have about 38 dead people, young, beautiful, dead people. And I'll tell you, the parents want them every bit as much, almost more, than as if their son or daughter were alive. But you have many dead people that are coming out as part of the deal. It's 20 people, but I think of the 20, there could be some that have recently died, is what I'm hearing. I hope that's wrong. But you have over 30 bodies in this negotiation. Can you believe? I mean, we negotiate for people that are living here. We know that at least 30 people are dead, and we're negotiating to get them out. The parents want them back so badly, as if they were alive. Every bit as much. It's really pretty amazing. It's very sad. I'm in the middle of it. And I put out the other day, I said, we want all 20. We don't want two. You know, I was the one with myself and my people, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner was great on this. But they got a lot of people out. We got almost all of them out. They're down to 20. But, Adam, we got like a tremendous number out. But I always said when you get down to the final 10 or 20, you're not going to get them out unless you're going to do a lot. And doing a lot means capitulation. That's no good either. It's a very tough situation. But I put out the other day, let them all out. Every single one. No more twos and ones. We'll give you one this week, and in 2 months we'll give you two more. And there's negotiation going on right now. Okay.
And real quick, what is the biggest challenge negotiating with Hamas right now? 10 to 20, what do they want to let them free?
Well, they're asking for some things that are fine. Look, you have to understand, you have to remember October 7th. You know, people forget October 7th. It's not an easy thing to forget, right? But people forget, or they maybe purposely forget October 7th. So, you know, you have to put that into the equation very strongly. It's amazing. Some people even deny it. They deny it. They're crazy. But I've seen tape that's as violent as anything that you can imagine. Many of you have seen those same tapes. So you have to put that into the equation, too. So it's not an easy situation. It's a tough one. But there are 20 people, maybe a little less, but there are 20 people that we want out. We want the bodies of these parents. They are, I've never seen anything like it. The level of love that they have, they want their children back. And, you know, I see demonstrations, big demonstrations in Israel about the hostages, not about the war, about the hostages, which puts Israel in a tough position because, you know, it's tough to prosecute a war when you have people they want the 20 people back. They just want them back very badly and everything that goes with it. So it's very sad. Thank you very much. We're going to talk now about the G20. I figured we could wrap 2 or 3 up. The last time I took a day off, everybody said bad things happened to me. You know that, Seb? I took 1 day off. I didn't take it off. I was working. In fact, I was here. But I didn't do a news conference, and they said bad things happened to the president.
That's why they're fake news, Mr. President.
It's fake news. You know, if you look, Biden, he had a press conference. He missed it for about a year, right? About a year. And I never saw any stories like that about him. He didn't have, and when he had one, they'd ask him, what flavor ice cream do you like? He'd say vanilla. How many times have they asked him that question? What's your favorite ice cream, sir? Vanilla. Okay, that's enough. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. They don't have to go through this, but we all have a good time. I only do it for one reason. I think it's good for the country. And we are very transparent. There's never been transparency like we have. There's nothing to hide. So thank you very much on this, Will. Great job. Appreciate it. So we're going to talk about Florida, the great state of Florida now, because it's going to be a very exciting thing to host the G20. And as we celebrate our nation's 250th anniversary next year, the United States will have the honor of hosting exactly that, the G20 summit right here in America for the first time in nearly 20 years. This afternoon, I'm thrilled to announce that the 2026 G20 conference, which will be, I could read off the countries that we're talking about, but you know who they are, I think. Does anybody want me to list them specifically? Jennifer, you're okay? Okay, but will be held in one of our country's greatest cities, beautiful Miami, Florida, where we have the mayor with us, Mayor Suarez. And I want to thank Francis for being here. I thought he might be in this office. You know, he almost got there. There's a couple of votes. Right? A couple of votes. It's not as easy as they think. Right? It's not that easy. But he's an amazing guy, very popular in Florida. The agenda for next year's summit is being organized by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who is right here. Hi, Scott. I saw him standing over there, nice, tall, good-looking guy, but he moved very quickly. Carolyn, you did a good job. Does Caroline do a good job, would you say? Huh? Is she a star? How do you compare her with the last administration's person? No? You don't want to get into that. Yeah, I think we're very happy with Caroline. But Scott Bessent is talking about a good job. He's done a fantastic job, and we're very proud of him. He's very much involved with the G20. And the NEC director, Kevin Hassett, who's truly a talented guy. And he's certainly being thought of to go to a different position, and we'll find out about that pretty soon. I don't know. Would you like to be there? I won't ask you that. I think, who wouldn't want it? I think it's the greatest position in the world. You know, you come out, you make a speech, and then you go away for 30 days or 40 days, and you come out, make another speech. The market goes up or down depending on what you want to say. I've never seen an easier position than that. Unfortunately, you need good instincts. So we have somebody in there now that doesn't have them. We call them too late. But it will focus on unleashing economic prosperity by eliminating the burdensome regulations, unlocking affordable energy, and pioneering new technologies. And it's going to be very important. The United States is already leading by example, and America is the hottest country anywhere on earth. We have more being built under construction now than they think anybody that they've ever seen. I mean, literally, some of these places are just really unbelievable what they're building, the size. You know, if you spend $50 million on a shopping center someplace, that's a big building, pretty big building. But when you spend $50 billion on essentially a building, they have buildings going up for $50 billion. They're going to be building their own electricity, and many of them have been given permits already to go, and they're starting construction. Some have started construction quite a while ago, and very early in the administration. We let them do that. You know, we have a grid that's obviously an old grid. It's been around for a long time. We could never handle the kind of numbers that you're talking about in terms of electricity, and we're letting them build their own plants. They build their own plants with their structures. So they build their structure, they build their buildings, and they build an electric producing plant with it, like Con Edison in New York that I grew up with, and like others that make electricity. They make it for New York. These plants will make it for their building, for AI. Then you have a lot of the car plants going up. Most of them won't need that kind of electricity, but they have the right to do that also. So we're allowing companies to build electric plants. They become, essentially, Scott, I guess they become utilities, right, if you think about it. And it's very exciting. We're going to end up with more electricity than China, and it's going to be built at no cost to us. And I'm telling them, build more than you need, and you'll sell it back into the grid. So they'll be able to sell it back into the grid on top of everything else at no cost to the American taxpayer. It's very exciting. And frankly, if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be leading with AI. We wouldn't be probably even doing any AI. It would be 20 years to get an approval. So they're building massive amounts of electricity as we speak. We've eliminated $5 trillion worth of federal regulations, another big thing since I took office. And if you remember the first term, we took out more regulation than any other president in history times. You could add the top 4, and they wouldn't come anywhere close to what we were. That's one of the reasons we had such the most successful 4 years of any president economically. And this is blowing it away. I think this will blow it away. When these plants start to even getting close to opening, I think you're going to see numbers that we've not seen before. And we've increased oil production by more than 300 barrels a day. That's a lot. Blue-collar wages are rising at the fastest rate in 60 years, and trillions of dollars of investment is pouring into the USA. It's going to be over $17 trillion very shortly, and nobody ever thought a thing like that was possible. What made it possible were, number one, they were happy with November 5th. They were happy with the election. And number two, the tariffs are bringing countries in. I mean, it's so vital to our country. It's before the courts now, and I hope we're going to do very well. We had 4 great opinions just come out, as you know, from judges. In a couple of cases, there were Obama-appointed judges that felt they had to do what was right for the country. So I respect that greatly. I respect them for doing it. But we have very strong opinions, and it'll end up going to the Supreme Court. And it's just vital for the country. Vital, absolutely. We're at a level that we've never thought we'd be at, and it's because of the tariffs. Countries are pouring into our country because of you avoid tariffs if you build here. If you don't build here, you pay a lot of money. But if you build here, so what people are doing is they're coming in, they're building here. No different than what other countries have done to us. But we have a big advantage over other countries. We have a market that we built up during our 4 years that was amazing. We took a commanding lead during that 4-year period. So it's a very exciting thing, but I look forward to showing our incredible success to the world when we visit Miami next year. And I'd like to ask Mayor Suarez, truly a highly respected gentleman who's loved in his city, and we're gonna do a great job. We're gonna work together and do a fantastic job. Mayor, would you say a few words, please?
Of course. Thank you, Mr. President. It's a tremendous honor to be with you here today in the Oval Office to make this historic announcement, just looking at the sign, which is so beautiful.
Good job.
Yeah, it's a great job. As you know, Mr. President, you were elected by double digits. You were the first Republican president over 30 years to win Miami-Dade County. And you did it because you followed through on your promises. And in Miami, what we're doing is we are following through on those promises as well. We've kept taxes low. We've kept people safe. We've leaned into innovation. We've grown 150% in the last 10 years. We've created one of the most intriguing ecosystems in the world. And this decision is not only generationally important for the city, but it puts the city on the map as one of the truly great global cities. So on behalf of all of the workers of Miami, those that work in the hospitality industry, I know you own many hospitality assets and properties, all of the small business owners who are going to benefit economically from having the G20 in Miami.
Tremendous benefit. It's going to bring in millions and millions of dollars.
We just say thank you. We thank you for believing in us. We thank you for highlighting our city in a time when we have the lowest homeless rate in 11 years. We're on the precipice of having the lowest homicide rate in history, and with the lowest taxes. So we're following your America First agenda, and we're creating success in, Miami's the greatest city in the world, we believe.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll see you down there before then, but we'll see you down there. Scott, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, sir. So we're excited to have the G20, and what's important about the G20, President Trump's America First initiative does not mean America alone. It means America leads. So we will be holding the G20 in the capital of the world, Miami, next year to showcase the beginning of President Trump's second term. Will be a year and a half into it. We will have done peace deals, tax deals, trade deals. We've made the U.S. the best place to come, start a business, have tax certainty, energy certainty, and regulatory certainty. And it's going to be an exciting event. And the U.S., just as the President was saying earlier about the Defense Department of War, the U.S. is back on the international stage as a leader. We have whittled down the G20 back to basics. We are making it work for the American people better than ever. We have the G20 had become basically the G100 this past year. So it will be a concentrated group in Miami seeing the best America has to offer with American leadership, thanks to President Trump.
Thank you very much. Great job, and a great job you're doing. Kevin, would you like to say a few words?
Mr. President, I think this G20 meeting, where the world leaders will come to the great city of Miami, is going to be viewed as one of the most important meetings in global history, because what's going to happen is the golden age is going to be documented so well in the data by next summer that you're going to have one of the best speeches written for you that you've ever seen, because we're just going to be talking about the accomplishments of the next year.
I think so. A lot of these plants are going to be open by then.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of jobs are coming in like I think we've never seen before. It's going to be great. Monica, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Mr. President. We're so looking forward to having the United States of America host the G20 in Miami in December of next year. And we're also looking forward to having this as a showcase of American strength, vision, innovation, and power under your bold leadership, Mr. President. It is going to be the G20 in the Trumpian golden age.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions on the G20?
Could I just...
G20.
You just said a moment ago that
Of Kevin?
Yes.
Yeah, I am very complimentary. I think he's fantastic.
and for the Fed, he's your man.
I didn't say that. I said he's fantastic, but no. I sort of know who I'm going to pick, but no, I didn't say anybody in particular. But Kevin is certainly one of the three. They say four, but probably three. That he's a highly respected person. He's great. He's great. He believes in low interest rates, and we all do. But sometimes you have to raise them to stop inflation. We had the worst inflation, I guess, essentially that we've ever had in the Biden administration, and it really hurt people. You know, costs are way down. Our energy costs are way down. And, you know, when energy comes down, everything comes down. And we brought down the price of groceries and specifically the price of eggs. You remember that first week when you were screaming about eggs? I said, I know nothing about them. I just got here. That's Biden's problem. But we got the cost of eggs down to really low numbers. So we brought costs down for people. And, you know, it's something I said. And the Democrats have this false narrative. They say, oh, costs went up. They just say things that it's just like incredible. If you look at energy, I think you're going to be at $2 a gallon with cars very shortly. $2. It was $4, $5 under the Democrats. That's a huge, it's like a massive tax cut. And speaking of tax cuts, we gave you the largest tax cut in history in the bill that we just approved. The largest tax cut in history. And there'll be no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. One of the big things you get is you buy a car and you borrow money to buy the car, you're allowed to deduct your interest, which, Scott, has never happened before. You know, rich people like to talk about deductions. Middle income, they never gave them deductions. I got them one of the best deductions, an interest deduction. So it's great. Jennifer, please.
Yeah, a couple questions on the G20, sir. Is there any update on your plans to attend this year's G20? And then are you saying for next year?
I won't be going this year. It's in South Africa. I won't be going. JD will be going, great vice president, and he looks forward to it. But no, I won't be going to that.
And then on the guest for 2026, are you saying it'll just be exclusively the 19 countries, the 2 blocks? There won't be any?
No, we're going to invite other countries as observers. They call them observers, but they'll have something to say. But we're going to invite Poland. Already I've issued them an invitation. They're great. They were just here, as you know. Great leader, great new leader. One of the big surprises, I was so happy I endorsed him, actually, and he won. And he's going to be a great leader of Poland. But I've invited Poland already.
What about Russia? What about Russia?
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't thought of that. No, I haven't thought of that. That's an interesting question. I'm going to think about that for a little while.
Mr. President, you just mentioned that the tax cut bill. Why the rebrand from One Big Beautiful Bill?
Oh, I just save words. I said the bill. It's one big. I actually call it the great. I actually call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill. But it's a lot of words.
Is that how you want Republicans to kind of talk about it? When they
I don't. You know, I just want them to say what's in it. It's an incredible bill for the middle class, for the working person. You know, we are a party of the working. It used to be the opposite. The Democrats were for the working people, and the Republicans were supposedly for the rich. The Republican Party's taken in millions of people, and the Democrats have lost millions of people. They've gone crazy. Honestly, I think they're crazy. What's happened to them, I don't know. They suffer major Trump derangement syndrome, and it's turned out to be actually a disease. But it's a disease of weak people and stupid people, because all we do is we cut taxes, we create great policy. Their policy is so terrible. They refuse to acknowledge, as an example, I see today, it's a big debate again, the women, they don't want men playing in their sports. They don't want it. The Democrats want men to play in women's sports. I saw the great governor, we have Governor Youngkin, talking about it today, that the woman who's running against our Republican candidate, who's excellent, is like so much into the, men being able to use women's bathrooms. Okay, what's that all about? Men playing in women's sports, wants open borders. Again, they want actually, after what we've gone through with millions, I think 25 million people came in from prisons, from mental institutions, drug dealers, drug addicts, they're pouring into, like, they poured in, now we have none coming in. The border's been sealed for a long time, actually almost since I got into office. Remember when the Democrats said we need legislation? I didn't have any legislation. I said close the borders. And now the borders for the last 4 months, not one person has been allowed to come into this country illegally, not one. Done by people that would normally like to see you look bad. Those are the numbers. So it's been an amazing job. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, this is going to be a major event and a major meeting for South Florida, for you, for Mayor Suarez. I know this is not until next year in Miami, but do preparations begin today? And if so, what is being done?
They've already begun. We first had to deconflict our Basel with the dates, and so we have already started doing that. And so thanks to the President's team.
He started a long time ago, actually. If you knew him, he was working on this long before this press conference.
Yes, sir.
It's in good shape. It's going to be great.
Yeah, Mr. President, we learned this morning that we've lost 78,000 manufacturing jobs this year. How do you explain it?
Well, one thing we have is, we have the interest rates are too high. That was, a matter of the Fed. But the other thing is, so many different elements aren't included yet. And one of the things we've learned, and we learned that the hard way, watching over the last few months, are the corrections that people have been making. They'll say you're losing jobs, and then they say, by the way, we have a correction a month later of 100,000 jobs are missing. They actually had a correction once of 850,000 jobs. But I'll let Kevin just speak about that a little bit, because I heard him speaking about it this morning. I thought he did very well. Please.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, I think that if you look at the indicators, there's capital spending boom, industrial production at an all-time high. The Atlanta Fed says GDP now is north of 3%. And so all the indicators are saying that things are really strong. And what we've also seen is that Goldman Sachs put out a study yesterday that said that the August number tends to be really messed up because of seasonal adjustment things, and they tend to be revised way up. And so I think if they were revised up, which has happened on average over the last 15 years by about 60,000, then everything else would make sense. But right now we're puzzled about the BLS numbers and looking forward for new leadership there to make it so that the numbers are more reliable.
And again, we're building, they've started building all of these factories and plants, including car factories. Car factories are coming back. We lost more than 50% of our car production over the years. And I think we're going to get all of it back. It's coming back in really rapidly. Really, we're building a lot of car plants. Indiana, places that you don't think of it so much are taken, but also Detroit, lots of places it's coming in where I think we're going to get everything. We've lost it over a period of 40 years, and I think we're going to get it all back in a very short period of time. And big ones, big plants, incredible plants that were never going to come back. Without the tariffs, they wouldn't have come back. And I think without the election on November 5th, they wouldn't come back either. The election was very important also. Yeah, please.
As we've been here, Mayor Adams of New York has announced that he's staying in the mayoral race there. Can you react to that, but also tell us?
No, I mean, he has to do what he wants. I mean, he's free to do what he wants. It would seem to me, and everybody in this room, including you, that the only way you're going to beat the communists, because you have a communist running, which is fine. I'll have to deal with a communist in New York City. I never thought that was going to happen. This is something I didn't think was going to happen, Scott. You're going to have to explain this one, because we're going to have a communist mayor. It would seem to me that if he stays in, if you have more than one candidate running against him, it can't be one. If you have one candidate, if he's the right candidate, I would say that Cuomo might have a chance of winning if it was a one-on-one. If it's not one-on-one, it's going to be a hard race. And we'll get used to a communist, and he's going to have to go through the White House and get approvals for everything. And we're going to make sure that New York is not hurt. We want to make sure that New York is cherished and taken care of. And so I didn't know he was running or not running.
But you didn't offer him an ambassador?
No, I didn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that. It's nothing wrong with doing it, but I didn't do that.
We asked for the G20. We understand that it'll be held at Doral.
Yes, it's going to be at Doral, yeah.
You considered that with the G7 last time. You decided against it. Why go forward with it now?
Well, I think that everybody wants it there because it's right next to the airport. It's the best location. It's beautiful everything. They actually requested that it be there because the location is the best. And we will not make any money on it. We're doing a deal where it's not going to be money. There's no money in it. I just want it to go well. and it's going to be each country will have its own building. I think it'll be really a beautiful thing. And Dural's been very, very successful. One of the most successful properties in the country. And frankly, it's the problem is in December. That's the biggest month in Florida. So, using it for you can't get a room in Florida in December, January, etc. That area, and that's the time we're talking about. So. From that standpoint, it's not good, but we want to make sure it's good. I think Doral would be the best location. And again, they'll have their own buildings. It'll be incredible for them. And being like 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes from the airport, and it's a big airport, international, all of the planes will be able to land, go right into their quarters. So I think it'll work out very well.
Earlier on your Fed answer, sir, you said that you're looking at maybe 3 candidates or 4.
3 candidates.
Should we interpret that you like Secretary of Epstein in his current role?
Well, I like him too, but I had him as a 4th. I had 4. You were talking about 4. Now I'm talking about 3. He told me I'm not leaving. So he wants to be doing, and if he was leaving, he would certainly be one of the people I'd want. But I asked him specifically. I could ask him right now, would you rather stay where you are as treasurer, or would you rather go to the...
Sir, I'm the only person on the planet who does not want the job.
Okay. He really told me, he said, I love what I'm doing. I wouldn't want to really take him because he is doing a great job.
Are the top 3 still then Mr. Walsh and Mr. Waller?
I am looking at Kevin also, and I'm looking at, I would say you could say those are the top 3. Good job. That's very good.
Just to clarify, so you're saying you believe Andrew Cuomo would be the best one-on-one candidate against him?
Well, I think if I'm only going by the polls. It's not an endorsement or anything. It just seems that he's second. And what you do to win is you take the guy who's second and you hopefully add 1 and 2. But maybe if the 1 isn't getting out, then he's not getting out. And that's okay. I think the mayor's a very nice person. I helped him. He was got caught up in a scam by the Biden administration, what they did. So I helped him out a little bit, but I would understand why he doesn't do it. I do think this. I think if you have more than 1 candidate, we've got ourselves a communist mayor in New York. And I don't like communist mayors. I don't like them. Yeah.
You passed the One Big Beautiful Bill, sir. 5 months, all these slew of events next year. World Cup, G20, all America 250. Given this, what's your economic outlook for the year 2026? How much growth do you think is reasonable for us to expect economically next year?
Well, I heard, and we were on a very downward path with Biden, and I heard that the most we could do is 1% GDP, and now I'm hearing 3.2% and 3.5% and all. And our big year won't be really next year. I think it'll be the year after, because when these plants start opening up, it takes a period of time to build them. We're going to have tremendous job growth. It's unprecedented. We have unprecedented in history. There's never been anything like it, because we're going to have more than $17 trillion invested. There's never been anything like that. If we did $1 trillion in 1 year, and this is 6 months, 7 months, because we really focused on it over the last 6 months. But we're going to be doing. Nobody's ever seen numbers like this. When this stuff starts opening up, our country's being rebuilt. And by the way, Washington, D.C. is being rebuilt. In addition to the fact that we have a safe city now, and our National Guard was fantastic and worked with the mayor, worked with everybody, we're also doing a refurbishing of Washington. We're going to redo some of the roads, the surfaces. We're going to redo the medians. We're going to take the broken tiles off the tunnels and put brand new tiles up. And we're going to regrass all the parks. They're going to be regrassed by people that build world-class golf courses, and not necessarily people that work for me, because I don't care about that. I just want to, I'm very good at grass. Grass has a life, just like you have a life, right? It has a life. Well, this grass has been up longer than, it's like 4 lives, okay? That's why there's a lot of areas where there's just no grass. But we're going to regrass all of the parks. We're going to, in a year from now, you won't even recognize it. Graffiti's gone, the tents are gone, the medians falling into the roads are gone, the potholes will be gone, the marble's going to be polished and beautiful. It's all going to be beautiful. We're working with Clark Construction, who's one of the, well, definitely the biggest here, one of the biggest in the country, and they've been great. And we're going to do about a 10-mile radius from the White House, from the Capitol. looking sort of at both of them, go right in the middle of both of them and start drawing circles. And everything is going to be spit-shined. You know, when the head of Poland came here last week, and when other leaders came here, a lot of them have been here over the last 8 months. I said, what do you think? And they said that we're a little surprised at the look, the filth on the road. Now it's much better. We've got it much better, but we have to do some construction things. I mean, you know, you have medians that are all broken and rotted and rusty and disgusting. And they're all going to be changed. You're going to have a very different look. You're going to have the look of prosperity, not the look of poverty. But the big thing right now, initially, is we have no crime in Washington. We literally have no crime. They said it's down 87%. It's not down 87. It's down like 100%. We have almost no crime. People are going to restaurants that wouldn't have even thought about it. And I know families that have gone 4, 5, 6 times to restaurants over the last few weeks. And you people are in the same category. I mean, yes?
I agree on that.
Thank you. It's a whole different place, right? That's very nice. And you're so tough usually. I like her now. Right? No, because she was truthful. Is that a correct statement, Brian?
Yes, sir, it is.
I heard you were actually mugged. You're a big, strong guy.
I can't do anything when he hasn't gone.
No, you can't. You know, you say, thank you very much, right?
Can I follow up on the beautification of D.C.?
Yeah.
An amazing job of crime.
Yeah.
Just out front of the White House is a blue tent that originally was put there to be an anti-nuclear tent for nuclear arms. It's kind of morphed into more of an anti-American at some times, anti-Trump at many times.
Where is this blue tent?
Right in front of the White House on the North Lawn, on the other side of the Black Gate in Lafayette.
I haven't known this.
All of us in here walk right by it every day. It is an eyesore.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, let me
Take it down. Take it down today, right now. Nobody told me that. So you're saying there's a blue tent?
It's been there for 30 plus years. It was originally a peace tent, but it's kind of morphed into something.
Yeah, morphed into radical left. Okay.
Well, but I've heard.
Is it in the Ellipse? Where is it?
No, it's in Lafayette Park. It's actually
Lafayette Park. Take it down.
Okay.
Okay.
What's interesting about it is that I've had people tell me it's a public health hazard because people sleep in there, they eat, there's rats, but also it could be a national security risk because people can hide things in there, they can put weapons in there.
We're going to look into it right now.
Yes,
We have removed over 50 tent sites, not 50 tents, hundreds and hundreds, maybe 1,000. I think it's over 1,000 tents, but 50 sites. So I'm a little surprised to hear that, but we're going to look into it right now. Lafayette.
On the National Guard,
Yes.
the DC mayor has, of course, gotten on board with your cleanup of DC, but the DC Attorney General has said that he's suing you for your federalization of the police. What's your response?
Can you imagine, we have an Attorney General who's not related at all to the mayor, by the way. You know, it's a totally separate department. We've got so many separate departments. You have the district attorney has nothing to do with the mayor. The whole thing is crazy. But how about this? We just set a record on low crime in Washington, D.C., and we have a man suing us to let us go back to high crime. We're going to have to be here for a little while to make this really work long term after we're gone. And so we're going to meet that head on, and I suspect we'll be very successful. And I can always declare a national emergency because this was a national emergency. But right now we have the safest city. We have now one of the safe cities in the country. We had almost the worst. I mean, a city that was as bad as some of the horror shows that you've heard about for years. And we're going to fix some of those horror shows, too. Okay?
President, the Google ruling today that you posted on Truth Social about, the Europeans finding Google. Can you address
So
that?
Google is a great company. Yeah, Google is a great company, American company. Apple is a great American company, and so many others. And the European Union, I don't know why they do it, but they have been finding them numbers that have been astronomical. More so before I got here. But Apple paid $17 billion a fine in the last year. Apple, $17 billion on a case that a lot of people think they weren't guilty of. And no, I'm going to be speaking to the European Union about it. It's not fair. Google just got fined $3.5 billion, and they've already paid $13 billion. They're up to $16.5 billion. And people say there was nothing wrong with what they did. It's almost a source of income to run Europe. It's become a source of income. And many other companies, too. Mostly tech companies, but We can't let that happen.
What are
We
you
can't let
seeking from the Europeans and by when?
No, I can just say you can't do that. I mean, you know, they respect us now. They didn't respect us a year ago. European Union respects us. Look, they're paying us $950 billion, right? You got to respect us. They were very disrespectful of our country. I have great respect for Ursula. I've gotten to know her very well. And I just don't think it's fair that they're taxing, and really it's almost become like a tax. It's become so regular. And I've gone to lawyers and I've asked them, what do you think? They said, they didn't do anything wrong. We can't do that. It's not fair. And it's interesting. I don't hear that about China, and I don't hear that about other places. I hear it about the European Union. We were talking about it last night. I think we had a gathering. That was the highest IQ group of people I think any room has ever had last night, you know? That was about as high as you can have. All the tech geniuses were there. They love their computers. They would tell me more about chips that I want to know.
Did this come up last night?
Yeah, it did. It did come up. A couple of companies said that they were taxed by the European Union. It's interesting. They weren't complaining about, in that regard, China. They weren't complaining about other places. It's the European Union, and they have. Apple was again forced to pay $17 billion last year. So I think we're going to change that around. It's just not fair. We don't want that to happen to our companies. And you know, if somebody does that, we should be doing it to them. If they've got to pay, let them pay us. But you just can't do that to our companies. Yes.
Was Elon Musk invited to the dinner last night?
I wanted to go back to the G20 real quick in Miami. You know South Florida very well. Many cities are being considered for the G20. Was this a hard decision, or did Miami just stand out to you?
It wasn't hard, really. I mean, look, it's got the weather. We're in December, so it's, you know, cold in some places, and that's beautiful too. Cold weather's nice. It's all nice, you know, depending on the city. But no, Miami really wanted it. The mayor really wanted it. The people down there really wanted it. You might just address that for a second, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, a conference of this kind does two things. Number one is it puts us on the global map with the great global cities, and I think that's something that we've been trying to achieve for a generation. And I think number two, it's a tremendous boom for your economy. I mean, as the president knows, he has, you know, multiple hospitality assets, and the working people of Miami, the small business owners, are going to benefit tremendously from the economic impact of a conference like this in our city. So it's an image thing, but it's also benefiting working people in our community.
Do you think Xi and Putin will attend the G20 there?
That's an interesting question. I'd love them to if they want to. I mean, they can, you know, as observers. They'd be observers, so I'm not sure they want to be an observer. But
Sir,
if they want to, we can certainly talk.
Can I ask you another Florida question? The vaccine mandates that were rolled back for school children. What do you think about that?
Well, I think we have to be very careful. Look, you have some vaccines that are so amazing. The polio vaccine, I happen to think, is amazing. A lot of people think that COVID is amazing. You know, there are many people that believe strongly in that. But you have some vaccines that are so incredible. And I think you have to be very careful when you say that some people don't have to be vaccinated. It's a very, you know, it's a very tough position. So I'd give you an answer. I'll give you a feeling. But just initially, I heard about it yesterday, and it's a tough stance. Look, you have vaccines that work. They just pure and simple work. They're not controversial at all. And I think those vaccines should be used. Otherwise, some people are going to catch it, and they endanger other people. And when you don't have controversy at all, I think people should take it. Okay.
One more follow-up on your comments on the taxes. On the upcoming tax bill, are you discussing, do you want that new tax bill to eliminate inflation from calculating capital?
When you say the upcoming tax bill, because when you have an upcoming, we just passed the biggest tax cut in the history of our country. So there's nothing upcoming. There's something that we just passed. So we passed the biggest tax cut in the history of our country for the middle class, for the worker. And that's the only bill that we're really talking about. We did a good job. It's very comprehensive. And I will say the Democrats, if you gave them every point that they wanted, every point that they've dreamt of all their lives, you wouldn't get one Democrat vote. They really are. They've become deranged, sick. It's crazy. If you gave them a list of the top 10 things that the Democrats wanted and you put them in a bill to get passed, you wouldn't get one vote. It's the only thing they have. They stick together, but they're dying. I mean, they're down to 16% approval rating, the lowest rating in history for either party. And we have the highest rating we've ever had. The Republicans have the highest rating we've ever had.
On the National Guard, have you decided which city that you want to go into next?
Yeah, I have. I have. I'm not going to say it now, but yeah, I have. We're going to go into another place and straighten it out. And I will say this: I watched today. I didn't know that was continuing to go on, but Portland is unbelievable. What's going on in Portland? The destruction of the city.
Are you going into
Well, I'm going to look at it now because I didn't know that was still going on. This has been going on for years. So we'll be able to stop that very easily. We'll be able to stop it. But, you know, that was not on my list, Portland. But when I watched television last night, this has been going on. You wouldn't be standing if you were the mayor. You would be. Can you imagine what they're doing? They're walking in throwing smoke bombs into the store. These are paid terrorists, okay? These are paid agitators. These are professional. I watched that last night. I'm very good at this stuff. These are paid agitators. They get paid money by radical left groups, not radical right groups, radical left groups. And they get paid a lot of money. And you see it with the signs. You know, they all have perfect signs and are printed. They look as good as that sign. Those signs aren't made in basements. They're made at professional printing offices, and they cost a lot of money. These are paid agitators, and they're very dangerous for our country. And when we go there, if we go to Portland, we're going to wipe them out. They're going to be gone, and they're going to be gone fast. They won't even stand the fight. They will not stay there. They've ruined that city. I have people that used to live in Portland. They've left. Most of them have left. But what they've done to that place is it's like living in hell. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you for your statement before.
AP is reporting that you would be banning visas to delegations who will be attending the UNGA, the UN General Assembly, including Brazil. Your reaction on that, sir?
That who's banning them?
The Trump administration.
Well, we are talking about things. We're very upset with Brazil. We tariff them very high because of the fact that they're doing something that's, very unfortunate. I love the people of Brazil. We have a great relationship with the people of Brazil, but the government of Brazil has changed radically. It's gone very left. It's gone very radical left, and it's hurting Brazil very badly. They're doing very poorly, very, very poorly. So we'll see.
And are you ready to reset relations with India at this point?
I always will. I'll always be friends with Modi. He's great. Prime Minister, he's great. I'll always be friends, but I just don't like what he's doing at this particular moment. But India and the United States have a special relationship. There's nothing to worry about. We just have moments on occasion.
How are trade talks going with India and with other countries that you haven't reached a trade deal with, Secretary of Esther?
They're going great. Other countries are doing great. We're doing great with all of them. We're upset with the European Union because of what's happening with not just Google, but with all of our big companies. They just, hit them with these unbelievable fines, $17 billion and $14 billion. And they use that money to run Europe. It's almost become like common. It's almost become a yearly occurrence, like it's a tax. So it's very unfair. I want to thank you all very much, and we'll see you around. We're going to see you in Florida, but we'll see you a little bit before that, I suspect. Okay?
What are you having for dinner?
Thanks, guys.
Well, I'll be having something good here. I'll be at the White House.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Well, there you go. It's 5:40 Eastern Time. The DOD is now the DOW, the Department of Defense, now the Department of War, and the signs are changing in Washington. We actually have video from moments ago at the Pentagon in Virginia. We also have a brand new video just posted by the White House. Take a look.
Born in Forest Lake, Minnesota, a proud Princeton graduate, an officer in the United States Army National Guard, a veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, recipient of the Bronze Star Medal for Valor, a warrior, a leader, and a patriot. Please stand and honor your United States Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth.
Technology these days. The White House just posted that video, and then of course our great crew here at Right Side to be able to turn all that video around to show it to you here. It's what we do for you, the American people. A shout out, of course, to all 6 branches of the U.S. military and the thousands of people and civilians that work at the Department of War. In other news, as you saw there, the 2026 G20 conference will be held in Miami, Florida in December of next year. Also, quickly in other news, the Wall Street Journal reporting that RFK Jr. will make an announcement that links Tylenol use and pregnancy to autism. That we'll see if that's an announcement that comes through with RFK Jr., but that's out there on the Wall Street Journal. Before we get to our quick Flashback Friday segment to close our broadcast, this entire live stream broadcast brought to you by some great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, including All Family Pharmacy. Unfortunately, flu season is here. The best time to prepare is in case or before you get sick. That's why families across the country are turning to All Family Pharmacy, where you can stock up now and get everything your family needs to have on hand, from essential medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, antivirals, to emergency kits and daily maintenance medications. They have it all. And now you can even get cutting-edge biohacking products like NAD+, methylene blue, and GLP-1 weight loss medications all in one place. I'm telling you, they've built a full lineup to help you prepare for anything. No more scrambling when someone gets sick. It's simple, fast, and reliable. A licensed doctor reviews every order and writes the prescription for you. If you're looking to stay protected and prepared, this is the pharmacy for you. So visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use code RSBN10 to save that 10% off your order. Stock up today and have peace of mind tomorrow. Also, RSBN, if you'd like to donate to us, all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801. Also, rsbnetwork.com/donate. For our final segment of the day, our Flashback Friday. It's a quick one, but it's definitely worth it. Our third great president, Thomas Jefferson, wrote in the Declaration of Independence a portion we've all heard before, but always good to repeat it. Quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, thanks so much for watching. My name is Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you again soon.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Tired of being told no by your doctor, your pharmacy, or worse, your insurance company? You're not alone. Millions of Americans are waking up to a broken healthcare system. That's why more and more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy. We believe in medical freedom. We deliver the prescription and the medication, all from licensed U.S. doctors and pharmacists, from ivermectin and trusted antibiotics to maintenance medications, even NAD+, the revolutionary anti-aging supplement. Use code RSBN10 at checkout for 10%